Dragon Ball. This Goku is terrifyingly strong. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, The Great Battle on Namek. Namek, inside Frieza's base point. TSK. Frieza tapped his fingertips, and a large number of activated detectors behind him emitted thick smoke without warning, and were directly destroyed. This made Frieza aware of something abnormal. What's going on? Shangbo grabbed a scientist angrily and asked, Sir, Champo-san. Yes, Frieza stopped Champo's move. Scarlet light bloomed in his eyes, and he slowly rose into the sky, and then ordered, "It seems that some monkeys have also arrived on this planet. You go and deal with it. I will also stretch my muscles." Ho 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 ho. Call out. After saying that, Frieza's figure turned into a stream of light, and disappeared in the distance. The calm sea below suddenly surged, and a trace was plowed out. Violent airwaves swept over Namek Point at the same time. The residents of the Great Elder Den had already left here with Piccolo and others, and only Goku and the Great Elder who was still alive were left at the top of the huge stone pillar. After waiting for a moment, Goku opened his eyes and sensed that Frieza was moving, but the direction was not where Bulma and others were. Now he actually doesn't need to do much, just make sure that the Dragon Balls don't fall into Frieza's hands, and that Gohan and others leave Namek safely. And if he stays here, even if the worst case scenario results in him not meeting the conditions for transforming into a Super Saiyan, he is just waiting for resurrection. However, he was not prepared to stand still. He had no control over the conditions for becoming a Super Saiyan. After all, he was not sure what level of anger was required to transform. But one thing he was sure of was that the stronger he was, the easier it would be to transform. He stood up and glanced in the direction of Frieza's base. Just now, in addition to Frieza's energy, he also found a familiar energy, and there were several other ones that were not too weak. Arriving on Namek, Vegeta, Team Jinyu are here, as well as Frieza's men. Calculating it should be able to improve my strength a little more. Whoosh. The next moment, Goku flew towards Frieza's base. Team Jinyu can at least improve his strength a bit more, and then use near death to stimulate his potential. Goku can maximize the benefits of this trip. After all, it is not easy to find so many universe warriors with tens of thousands of combat power. Just as Goku heads to Frieza's base, another battle has begun. Vegeta, how is your fighting power possible? HMPH, I'm the Prince of the Saiyans, and I'm the legendary Super Saiyan. Overtake. Dodoria was shocked. He was ordered to go out to collect the Dragon Balls, but he accidentally bumped into Vegeta, who also rushed to the planet. At this time, he noticed that Vegeta's strength had greatly increased. He was very surprised when he heard this. After all, it is the legendary existence that Frieza has always been afraid of. People around Frieza are also very wary of this legend. Of course, Dodoria was not an idiot. He soon discovered that, although Vegeta's strength had improved, he was not much stronger than him, and his combat power was only 24,000. But he can never be King Frieza's opponent. Hehehe, Vegeta, you are really still daydreaming. No one can disobey King Frieza. If you kneel in front of me now, I might be able to beg King Frieza to spare your life. Snort. Vegeta's face was gloomy. He had had enough of the years of oppression. What was the purpose of his humiliation and forbearance for so many years? Wasn't it just this opportunity? Dragon Ball. As long as you get the Dragon Ball and wish for immortality, you will be able to kill Frieza sooner or later. This is Vegeta's ambition. The moment he made up his mind to no longer hold back, he began to lose control, and at the same time, he began to use his talents as a Saiyan to explode. He has no fear. With a fierce look in his eyes, he rushed towards Dodoria with a terrifying momentum, not letting the other party go back alive. Vegeta, you. Moments later, Dodoria died tragically in Vegeta's hands. At this time, Frieza also found the Great Elder's guard, the fighting Namekian Nalu. The strength of the two sides was not in the same dimension at all. After Frieza played with it, he severely injured him with one blow and left directly. Hehehe. Piccolo, who had already arrived near the universe spacecraft, seemed to have noticed something. He told Gohan and others not to run around, and then flew away. Only Gohan, Krillin, Bulma and others were left at the scene. Originally, according to Goku's wishes, they should board the spaceship and leave directly, but Bulma refused to leave at this moment. Sizzling. Instead, a few people started barbecue leisurely. Boo, Bulma, you should go back. Goku said that the monster named Frieza is super scary. He might come over and kill us all. Krillin said tremblingly. Although he could also sense ki, when Piccolo left, he felt insecure and kept looking around suspiciously, fearing that a monster would suddenly appear. Well, that's right. He had never seen Frieza, so in his imagination he was a monster with teeth and claws. Klin, you are very verbose. Bulma ate the skewers while holding them, then walked over and handed one to Gohan. With beer in one hand and barbecue in the other, he said, can't you, chew, be more relaxed? Since that guy Goku is here, he must be sure. Yeah, maybe we've already killed that guy named Frieza. That's right. Haha, Klin forced a smile and actually felt that what Bulma said made sense. However, in fact, he also knew that if Goku was completely sure, how could he let them escape first? These words were just his self-comfort point, and looking at Bulma's appearance, Klin had an ominous premonition. Immediately, Bulma, who was full of wine and food, started to make trouble and took out the spare Dragon Ball radar. Hey? There is a Dragon Ball very close here, Bulma, Goku said. What are you talking about? Bulma shook the Dragon Ball radar in his hand and pretended to be stupid. Goku just asked us to come back. He didn't say he wouldn't let us find the Dragon Ball. Moreover, this Dragon Ball is so big that it can definitely achieve greater power. That's your wish, right? Maybe you can directly kill that guy named Frieza. With that said, Bulma pointed to the huge Dragon Ball on the ground. Klin's cerebellum was almost on fire, and he was entangled. But there's nothing wrong with it. The Dragon Ball might have been taken away by Frieza because of your waste of time. That's alright. Krillin, you stay here and look at the spaceship with Ranky and the others. Gohan and I will go get the Dragon Ball. It's such a happy decision to get it back. Hey, Bulma. Wait. Gohan was also a little confused at this time, but he felt that what Bulma said made sense, plus what Bulma had just given him to eat, so he subconsciously started to act according to what Bulma said. Bulma's mother cannot be put in danger. Chapter 77 Sacrifice. Klin. On Namek, battles are going on everywhere. Goku didn't have time to carefully sense the weak ki of Bulma and others. Even Gohan and others controlled the strength of ki in order to avoid trouble, so he naturally ignored them. After all, as long as they don't take the initiative to come out at this time, even if Frieza wants to find them, it won't be easy, and they will be safer. Violet is just in case. Even if Frieza does find her, she can force Frieza to show some strength, and Goku can detect it immediately. Oh, damn it. Who are you? Why have I never heard of you? After some eye-popping maneuvers by the Jinyu Special Forces, the Goku people were dumbfounded and decisively killed Gudu and Lickum. Only then did the remaining 3 people look at him, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Rubbing his eyes, Goku felt that there was something dirty in his head. His expression felt worse than eating a fly. Wipe it. The eyes looking at Jinyu and the 3 people became even more evil. If Jinyu's combat power is 120,000, then the mental attack of the Jinyu Special Forces simply exceeds 100 million. Just one look at it will make you lose your Sen value. No, this guy must be killed. Jinyu was staring at Goku at this moment. Next to him, Keith and Bart frantically pressed the detectors beside their ears, trying to see Goku's combat power. However, the clock of their detectors showed 5,000, which made the 2 of them break out in cold sweat. Boss, this guy's combat power is indeed 5,000. Damn it. Did the detector break at this time? Puff. At this moment, the detectors seemed to be unable to withstand the abuse of the 2 men, and they all exploded, emitting thick smoke and sparks. The sudden change shocked the 3 of them, but only Jinyu looked excited at this time. The moment before the detector exploded, he saw Goku's sudden surge in combat power, which was fixed at 300,000. 300,000 combat power. Ha. Ha ha ha. Ha. Jinyu's expression gradually distorted, ecstasy mixed with almost madness. Veins popped up all over his body, and he stared in the direction of Goku, as if he was looking at some rare treasure. Boss, what are you, Janius? Change shocked the two of them, and they didn't understand why. At this moment, Janius suddenly disappeared, and came to Goku decisively. Then he opened his arms without any warning and his whole body shone brightly. If you don't know his details, you might actually let him succeed. Goku's figure became illusory, and in an instant an Namekian frog appeared in his place. Janiu's expression changed drastically, but this move could not be stopped once it was launched. Quack! Janiu fell to the ground, but turned into the posture of a frog, and there was a panicked frog next to him. Goku just looked at it, and shattered Janiu's body with one move. Ding. Kill Janiu, gain energy, and increase your ki by 120,000. Ding. Get superpower, soul exchange counting. Go do and lick him before. His combat power has soared to 705,000. Slightly tightening his fists, Goku's energy recovered. He originally gave most of his energy to Violet, but it was not replenished. His physical strength was not that sufficient, and he was a little reluctant to fight against Frieza's first form. It's a lot better now. He looked up at the stunned Geese and Bart. When they saw him looking over, they wanted to escape, but how could Goku let him go so easily? He decisively raised his hand, and released two beams of energy, knocking them down. Ding. Kill Geese, gain energy, and increase your ki by 45,000. Ding. Kill Bart, gain energy, and increase your ki by 45,000. Combat. Strength 795,000. Just when Goku was surprised to reveal a special ability, Tuki quickly came closer at this moment. This is Vegeta. Kakarot, sure. Enough. Vegeta's injured and fleeing figure appeared not far away, and witnessed the scene of him killing Geese and Bart with his own eyes. Vegeta was shocked, but at the moment there was no time for him to think about it so much. Goku looked sideways slightly, and found an ugly monster with a whip behind him. Another confidant under Frieza. Shampoo. Under normal conditions, it is the same as Dodoria, with a combat strength of 22,000 but it has the ability to increase its combat power by transforming, and its maximum combat power is 28,000. Vegeta's combat power at this time was as much as 26,000. No wonder he was able to escape from the opponent's hands, but it seemed that he was at the end of his strength and would be caught up and killed sooner or later. After landing on the ground, Shampoo looked at Goku not far away from Vegeta. His face changed slightly, and then he smiled ferociously. So that's it. What King Frieza said is indeed right. There are actually wild monkeys sneaking in. I didn't expect it. There's also a Saiyan monkey. Heh. Goku's tail moved slightly behind him, his face slightly cold. Once upon a time, was it possible to insult the Saiyan race with such rubbish? Glancing at Vegeta, I found that he was also angry, but more unwilling. Kakarot, kill him for me. This guy is Frieza's subordinate. If he is alive, Frieza will chase him. Vegeta covered an arm and his face was covered with bloodstains. Roared. Goku just glanced at him and didn't answer, and this fashion wave did not take Goku seriously and slowly walked towards the two of them, spreading his hands and saying, "What a dirty stupid monkey. Do you think you can fight me with a similar Saiyan monkey? Vegeta, your combat power has really shocked me, but do you think other Saiyans can be the same as you?" Ha 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 ha. Faced with this unscrupulous ridicule and wanton insult, Vegeta's eyes seemed to burst out with fire. But he knew that he was no match for Shampoo. But the pride in his heart did not allow him to take the initiative to admit that Goku was stronger than him. Kakarot, the huge emotional fluctuations made his anger unstable and his expression almost crazy. Swish. Bang. Up. Poof. The next moment, Goku's figure appeared in front of Shampoo and punched him through him. In Shampoo's confused, puzzled, and unbelievable eyes, a burst of energy instantly shattered his body into pieces. Ding. Kill Shampoo and transform into a new form, gain energy, and increase your ki by 28,000. Goku shook off the blood on his hands and walked to the water to clean it. The whole process didn't even improve his energy much. Vegeta's eyes widened a bit, staring at Goku's back, his fists clenching. But his eyes finally became extremely complicated. After the cleansing, Goku fell into deep thought. Now his combat power is actually not much, but it has far exceeded expectations. 823,000. How much will it be after stimulating potential ? 8.23 million. How about transforming into a Super Saiyan with this kind of fighting power? A 50-fold increase. What kind of terrifying fighting power is that? So the only question left for him now is how to transform. Looking at Vegeta, Goku thought about the process of his opponent's transformation. He who forced his own potential to squeeze out his own potential was definitely strong enough to transform at that time, but he still completed the transformation in an almost desperate rage. What about yourself? Sacrifice : M. Chapter 78 Palunga appears. After just thinking about it, Goku shook his head and rejected the decision. Not to mention how dangerous it was. When he thought about it, he couldn't use this method to transform. If he had to use this method, he would rather find a way to improve his combat power and then use Kaioken to beat Frieza hard. At least it doesn't go against his true intentions. After looking at Vegeta, Goku still didn't speak. He raised his head to confirm the direction and then flew around. There were quite a few Frieza's legions coming. No matter how small the mosquitoes were, they were still meat. He had to try his best before the last moment. Increase strength. Kakarot, join me, as long as I get the Dragon Balls, gain immortality, and then kill Frieza. Vegeta subconsciously wants Goku to resist Frieza. In his opinion, Goku is definitely a Super Saiyan now. Although it is impossible to admit this, he is very aware that there is a huge gap between himself and Goku. It can only be said that Vegeta is worthy of being the Prince of the Saiyans, and his talent is indeed terrifying. After just one trip to the Earth, I have already mastered the skill of sensing ki. Although it is just sensing, it is already very scary. Sorry, I'm not interested in this. Goku glanced at him unexpectedly, then decisively refused. Vegeta felt that his dignity had been hit again, and his reason began to collapse. Then you go to hell. Drink. Boom. Boom boom boom. The crazy wave blasted in the direction of Goku, stirring up large amounts of dust and drowning Goku's figure. But Vegeta still roared angrily. To vent his anger during this process, his potential seemed to be stimulated, and his energy exceeded the limit and began to rise. After a long time, when he stopped panting, he found that Goku had already disappeared. He didn't even notice when he left, and he wasted his energy. The fists clenched, and the bright red blood slipped from Vegeta's hands. Damn it. Why? Why can a mere low-level warrior become a Super Saiyan? Why shouldn't it be me, the Prince of the Saiyans? But that low-level warrior Kakarot, reluctance, anger, and madness filled his heart, causing Vegeta to explode again. Drink. Boom. The wind was strong. Waves of air swept around, and the wind and sand rolled furiously. Accompanied by lightning and thunder. Vegeta's energy climbed to its peak. Like an angry beast letting out a heart-rending roar, he began to waste the energy in his body unscrupulously, trying to stimulate the potential in his body in this way. However, doing so with his already injured body would only cause him to collapse faster. Sure enough, Vegeta fell to the ground soon after due to exhaustion of energy. But his actions also successfully attracted the Frieza Legion and brought him back. On the other side, Goku deliberately avoided Frieza and began to clean up Frieza's legions on Namek to further accumulate strength. At the same time, he was also thinking about how he suddenly gained Jinayu's superpowers. It's not like he hasn't killed some warriors with special abilities. The Demon Zog, Tamasis, and even the Demon Dragon and Gudu of the Jinayu Special Forces also have the heaven-defying ability of stopping time, if possible. Goku is very greedy for that move. But it didn't happen. Goku was a little confused and didn't understand the difference. In the end, it could only be attributed to luck. In addition to the fixed improvement of combat effectiveness, the ability to explode this kind of skills can only depend on luck. In other words, explosion rate. Jinyu was the first to trigger this explosion rate, but Goku felt that this was not a guarantee. The probability is too low, and it turned out to be such a useless ability. What's the use of soul exchange? Can someone who is stronger than me stand in a daze and let myself be exchanged? And someone who is weaker than me exchange? Not to mention those universe people. Even Frieza's appearance is a bit unacceptable in Goku's eyes. Too curious, just like the scene that Gohan immediately imagined after seeing his biological father transform into Jinyu. Goku felt a chill just imagining it. So this soul exchange is almost non-existent. It would be better not to explode. He felt a little depressed. But Goku was still building up his strength. Although mosquitoes are small, they are full of food. Soon, he had almost wiped out Frieza's legions on Namek, ranging from a few hundred to 1,000. All in all, it was quite a harvest, earning 42,000 combat power. Host, Son Goku bloodline, Saiyan, lower level warrior, age 20 to key, combat power 865,000, 10/10, superpowers, gravity control, 20 times gravity, soul exchange. Now that the matter is over, everything you should do has been done, and the rest is left to make the storm come more violently. Looking at the word lower warrior, Goku frowned slightly. He actually didn't really believe that this kind of thing could determine the talent and upper limit, but Vegeta's performance and the potential to come from behind in the later period made him understand that this thing did not. It's not as simple as a title. There seemed to be a sigh of relief in his heart, which made Goku very unhappy. Boom. A Kigen wave directly pierced his abdomen, and his physical strength and vitality began to drain away rapidly. Immediately, Goku put a fairy bean into his mouth, and his eyes became clear. Zhi. He recovered from serious injuries instantly. Arcs of electricity appeared around Goku. His hair stood on end at this moment, and violent energy surged out of his body uncontrollably. In an instant, his hair froze without any wind, and his eyes were filled with an icy cold light. Bolts of lightning were released all around, constantly burning the surrounding air. Boom. The sky of Namek suddenly darkened, and a bolt of lightning fell. Almost at the same time, all the detectors of Frieza's army on Namek exploded. Only those detectors that were not turned on were spared. This is Goku had just completed his transformation and felt that his power had expanded to an unprecedented height, but looking at the changes in the sky, his expression still changed slightly. Shenron, I took out the Dragon Ball radar and found 7 light spots that had gathered together. What was going on? Who collected all 7 Dragon Balls? Not only him, but everyone was confused at this moment. Piccolo and Neru Fusion had already rushed in the direction of Frieza. At this time, they looked up at the sky and stopped. Nani, Frieza was also on his way back to the base when he suddenly saw the sky darken, and he didn't understand why, but then a flash of lightning flashed in his mind, and he intuitively felt that this was probably the Shenron being summoned. Damn, call out. Without hesitation, he rushed towards his base in an instant. The violent energy left a cylindrical channel on the sea surface, alarming the entire sea area. With angry waves sweeping and rolling waves, Frieza was angry, so angry that he couldn't allow anyone to use the Dragon Balls in front of him. At the same time, Vegeta, who was brought back to Frieza base and was in the medical cabin, suddenly opened his eyes and reached out angrily to smash the outer wall of the medical cabin in front of him. Vegeta, you are the scientist who was maintaining the medical cabin was killed instantly by him. Vegeta rushed out of Frieza's base, looked at the changing celestial phenomena in the sky, noticed a huge divine dragon emitting golden light in the distance, and rushed over instantly. That's mine. Chapter 79. The beginning. Time goes back to after Piccolo left to find Nero. Bulma asked Gohan to help and quickly collected a few Dragon Balls. I don't know if it was really luck or something else. They hid while collecting Dragon Balls. Because the Namek Dragon Balls were too big, Bulma simply asked Gohan and Krillin to take 2 each and sneak directly to Frieza's base. Frieza happened to be away at this time, so they took advantage of it. This time it was good. Counting the few they had in hand and the few Frieza had found in advance, there were 7 Dragon Balls gathered. What is your first reaction when you look at the 7 shining golden Dragon Balls in front of you? Of course it's to summon the dragon to make a wish, in line with the principle that, even if it is wasted, it cannot be given to Frieza. Bulma decisively summoned Shenlong, and she learned an Namekian language. Boom. But when the huge dragon appeared, the group was still shocked beyond measure, and stood stunned on the spot. Okay, so big. It looks so majestic, until Gohan and Krillin felt the powerful key coming quickly, and hurriedly reminded Bulma, make a wish quickly. It's too late. Ah, yes. Make a wish. Make a wish. Bulma held her head in her hands. The genius's brain was shut down due to too much tension. For a moment, she couldn't even think of a wish to make. She seemed to be lacking everything. Make a wish and kill Frieza. Krillin reminded hurriedly point, but Den's next words poured cold water on him. No, taking away lives is beyond the scope of Palunga's capabilities. Hateful. Everyone was numb again. Right. Finally, Bulma's IQ came back online, and after a decisive burst of chirping in Namekian language, nothing seemed to have changed, but Palunga's eyes glowed red, indicating that her wish had come true. Then Bulma looked at the other people and asked quickly, do you have any wishes? Hurry up. Wish. I just hope Gohan grows up healthy. I want money. Lots and lots of money. Bulma's face twitched, feeling that the question was in vain, but at this time he could only bite the bullet and said, no matter. Wait a minute, I thought of one. Violet stood up. You bastards. That's mine. At this moment, Vegeta arrived, his crazy aura overwhelming, and he rushed over with overwhelming murderous intent. Everyone was even more frightened. Violet frowned when she saw this, and then she rushed forward and stopped Vegeta with one blow, buying Bulma time. Bulma, hurry up and make a wish, Krillin urged, and then he bravely flew up to help, but the result was very cruel. Drink. The furious Vegeta burst out, with lightning and energy surrounding him. With just one blow, Krillin was on the verge of death. Violet was also in danger, and was beaten back steadily. She got Goku's energy, and has a fighting strength comparable to 300,000. But if she hadn't been able to absorb part of the energy at this moment, I'm afraid she wouldn't have been able to block Vegeta's blow. Uncle Klim, Gohan, was angry and rushed forward to blast Vegeta with Kigen waves, which actually made him quite embarrassed and stopped pressing for a while. At this time, Bulma also quickly read out his second wish, B**********D. Vegeta was so angry that he directly carried Gohan's attack and turned the direction, rushing towards Bulma and others, bound to get his wish. However, with a flash of red light in Shenlong's eyes, a figure came closer in an instant and stood in front of him. Bang. PFFT. The familiar strength was even more terrifying. Vegeta's forehead with bulging veins was covered with cold sweat, and the madness in his eyes became much clearer at this moment. He held his stomach and slowly fell to the ground, unable to get up again. Goku also fell down and frowned slightly. Goku, Bulma, and others looked surprised. Goku also nodded. A trace of doubt flashed in his eyes, but he quickly reacted. He was originally far away from here, but on the way he suddenly felt a pulling force. He subconsciously chose to follow that force, and then he came here instantly. He immediately guessed that Bulma used the power of Palunga to make himself appear here. After sensing it, he found that Krillin was about to die, so he hurriedly walked over and fed him a fairy bean. He had a total of 3 fairy beans on him, but 2 of them had been used up and 1 was left. Oops, I almost thought I was dead, Krillin said with lingering fear, covering his neck. Isn't it? Vegeta's combat power in his rage has reached more than 400,000 at this moment. Goku arrived in time, otherwise he would have been dead. Goku smiled and patted Krillin on the shoulder, then stood up and looked at Vegeta, who was still unwilling to give up on the ground and wanted to reach out to grab Shenron. If you think the Dragon Balls give you immortality and you can fight Frieza, you can continue. I'm going to fight Frieza. I wish you good luck. Also, you'd better not provoke my friends and family, otherwise. After the warning, Goku raised his hand and sent a burst of energy to Violet. As a golden light visible to the naked eye emerged on her body. Violet's body seemed to swell a bit, and her slender waist and proud plumpness seemed to become even more amazing. This is Violet was a little shocked when she looked at the lightning coming out of her palm. Her strength increased at least 10 times at this moment. A trace of excitement flashed from her eyes, and then she regained her composure. What do you want me to do for you this time? Look at him. Goku once again gave Violet his power, naturally not to make her a hidden danger, but to let her keep an eye on Vegeta. If Vegeta was stubborn, he would not mind sending the Saiyan Prince a flying early. With his current sinful body, let alone his physical body, it would be difficult for him to be reincarnated. he would have no choice but to go to hell and suffer eternal torture. Immediately, Goku's figure slowly rose into the sky, and he had already noticed Frieza's aura gradually coming. In desperation, Gohan took off a bag from his waist and threw it to Goku. Inside was the senbei he had on him. Goku brought a lot of fairy beans with him when he came to Namek. Naturally, he couldn't just squander these fairy beans, but he didn't bring them all with him. Instead, he brought 3 with him and gave the rest to a few other people. Klein and Piccolo also have it. Goku smiled, took one out of it, and threw the remaining fairy beans back to Gohan. Protect mom and everyone. I'll be back soon. Well, come on, Dad. Goku. Although Bulma and Shishi were worried, they still waved to him, and the blonde Lanky said loudly, "Hey, if you want to die here, I won't let you go." With a feeling of warmth in his heart, Goku looked at these faces. His somewhat confused thoughts gradually dissipated, and his eyes shone with determination. How can you lose, Super Saiyan? No matter whether he can succeed or not, he has no reason to lose. Whoosh, turning around and disappearing, Goku had already arrived in front of the furious Frieza. The two figures were like sparks hitting the earth, colliding together at extremely high speeds. There was a loud bang, and Frieza's stroller took the brunt of the impact and exploded into pieces on the ground. Frieza's expression was completely distorted and twitching at this moment. He was knocked unconscious by Goku's punch. Blood overflowed from his body, and his whole body seemed to be broken. This ZHIA bolt of lightning stirred up, and Frieza was completely furious. "You stinky Saiyan monkey." Sine. Boom. Frieza no longer had any thoughts about playing around, and transformed directly into the second stage. His tall body was the same as that of the Kurdish king, but his combat power was only doubled, reaching 1 million, which was still not enough in front of Goku. Just when Goku was about to knock Frieza into his final form, a figure flew over at a very fast speed, as if it was made up of countless light points, and the aura around him was completely integrated without any leakage. "Goku, leave this guy to me. I'll deal with him." Piccolo's temperament changed, and he became much calmer. He may not be considered perfect today, but he has completed an evolution, and his strength and potential have been greatly improved. Chapter 80 The Curse of Immortality. It's Uncle Piccolo. Gohan shouted in surprise. Goku suddenly felt a little upset, and suddenly regretted letting Piccolo teach Gohan. Dent, who was next to Gohan, saw another figure in Piccolo at this moment. Uncle Nelu. The talents of the Namekians confuse with each other in critical moments, so that both strength and talents are qualitatively improved. It's a talent that even Goku is a little envious of. Not to mention that the Namekians have other magical abilities, not to mention making Dragon Balls. Piccolo is also proficient in various magics, even white magic for healing, and also has the ability to restore ki. The most outrageous thing is probably the Great Elder's guidance potential. Unfortunately, the Great Elder is about to die. Namekian, stinky monkey of the Saiyans, my current combat power is as high as 1 million, and I can also perform this transformation twice. Hehehe. Frieza expanded greatly after entering the second stage viewpoint, but neither Goku nor Piccolo changed. Goku glanced at the situation in the distance and found that Vegeta was stuck in self-doubt. At this moment, hearing Frieza's words, his whole body was shocked. Only the fear of being enslaved and controlled by Frieza for a long time was left in his eyes. He looked at Shenlong and walked over tremblingly. "I can't ensure your safety if you go any further." Violet raised her hand, and a burst of golden energy condensed in her palm. The golden light shone brightly, illuminating the surrounding area. Idiot. Vegeta's mentality collapsed and he yelled crazily, "You don't understand the terror of Frieza at all. Without me, without immortality, it is impossible to become a Super Saiyan and defeat that monster. Get away." The crazy gesture frightened Bulma and others, and they got out of the way. However, just as Vegeta successfully approached Shenron and raised his head, he was stunned on the spot. But the divine dragon suddenly dissipated, the sacred golden light dispersed, and the dragon beads turned into 7 ordinary stone pillars. Dend was extremely sad. Great Elder. Everyone else also guessed what was going on. Only Vegeta roared in unbelievable madness and was directly blown away by Violet's Kiga wave. He didn't know whether he was alive or dead. Piccolo also started to take action, but Goku did not intervene, but let him deal with Frieza's second stage. For Piccolo, this battle may not be won, but it is something he must go through. There must be an explanation for the disaster Frieza brought to Namek, even if it costs blood. But the next moment, Piccolo and Frieza disappeared. Bang. Then there was a collision in midair, and the terrifying sound wave spread, along with the bursting air, and the storm swept around. Goku just glanced at it and frowned. Bulma and others were too close to the battlefield. If they continued to fight, the entire Namek planet might not be safe. But by this time, Palunga was also gone. Otherwise, you can use your wish to send the people on Namek away. That's right. Goku suddenly thought of something, and a thought emanated from his body. Although he is not very skilled, he knows that the King of K must be paying attention to this place at this moment. After a while, without any warning, the entire Namek suddenly turned into night again. The sky became dark, and Barunga reappeared. Now, Vegeta was shocked, then ecstatic, with veins popping up on his forehead, and shouted to Shenron, "Give me immortality. Shenron, come on, my wish will come true. Hurry." Goku had already appeared aside, nodded to Bulma and said, "Bulma asked Palunga to send everyone except me and Frieza to the earth, and I will take care of the rest." "Goku, do you think I'm stupid?" Bulma's words made Goku pause for a moment. Bulma shook his finger proudly and said, "My first wish just now is that everyone on Namek, except those from Frieza's legion, will be killed directly if they are in danger. Transported to Earth. Why not just teleport away?" Goku regretted as soon as he asked. Bulma glared at him. "Aren't you the one who wants to fight Frieza?" Bulma was helping him, and Goku couldn't say anything. Then Goku fell into deep thought. Since there was no need to worry about the danger, all that was left was to wait for the opportunity. "But what are you talking about?" Frieza, in the distance, was also anxious at this time, and started roaring, trying to rush over to make a wish. But at this time, with the power of his second form, he was no match for Piccolo, and was held back tightly, and was about to enter the third stage. Vegeta walked over angrily, with a sullen face. "Kakarot." Goku gave him a pitiful look. The chance had been given, that's why. "Bulma, doesn't he want immortality? Let Palunga give it to him." "Hey? Goku, are you really going to do this? How is this possible? Goku, are you crazy?" Dad, Krillin, and Gohan also tried to dissuade him, but Goku still asked Bulma to make a wish. Seeing that he didn't seem to be joking, Bulma also chose to trust him. Immediately, Palunga's eyes flashed red, and Vegeta's eyes showed ecstasy, and he looked up to the sky and laughed. "Ha, finally. Finally, I have immortality, and I'm the Super Saiyan. Man, I'm the strongest Saiyan. Ha 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 ha." Boom. Feeling that his injuries were completely recovered, Vegeta was ecstatic and his physical strength was recovering rapidly. The next moment, an astonishing burst of energy directly blasted Vegeta into two, and he fell into a pool of blood. But then Vegeta quickly stood up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and looked at Goku with a sneer. Carrot, you can't kill me. How can you, a low-level warrior, understand the power of an ultimate Saiyan like me? Ha ha ha, really? That's really congratulations to you." Goku looked at him with an indifferent expression. At this time, even Gohan and Krillin were a little stunned and looked at each other. Violet took out a piece of chewing gum, chewed it, and stood not far away with her hands folded. The atmosphere at the scene was a bit solid, but Vegeta glanced at the two people with terrifying auras in the distance, and didn't notice anything unusual. A trace of fear flashed in his eyes, and then he flew away. Give me a little more time, damn it. That Namekian has become so strong, but it doesn't matter, as long as you give me a little more time and let me use the talents of Saiyans after their near-death resurrection to grow. Frieza will be nothing more than trash. I'm the legendary Super Saiyan, and Kakarot, you will regret your actions today. Goku stood there, and shook his head. He knew that Vegeta was completely useless. What is the underlying logic for the Saiyans to increase their combat power after being resurrected from the brink of death? It is potential, the power that taps into the depths of the bloodline, and at the same time, the foundation accumulated through hard training is released. Going deeper is the way of survival that the Saiyans have evolved over a long period of time. This potential can only be tapped and released through constant fighting and life and death. If there is no concept of death and injury, then this potential will naturally become a pool of stagnant water. In essence, Vegeta can no longer be regarded as a Saiyan point, but a new species that will not die or be injured. Chapter 81 Kaioken vs. Frieza's final form. Dad, Goku. Vegeta seemed so angry just now. Even Krillin noticed something was wrong. Goku nodded, confirming their thoughts, and explained the Saiyan bloodline to Gohan. Today's Vegeta, not to mention releasing his potential after dying, can't even rely on practice to improve his strength. He can only be stuck at the current level of about 400,000 combat power forever, because his wish is to live forever. Not everyone can bear this desire to violate the rules of the universe. If you challenge the rules of the universe, you will inevitably suffer the backlash of the universe. Even beings like the Great Elder who can predict the future choose to face death calmly, but Vegeta dreams of immortality. Just ridiculous. But it's not his fault, it's just a lack of knowledge. No wonder I thought you made that guy immortal, because of your hot-headedness. You just scared me to death. Bulma was a little frightened. Goku didn't say anything. He didn't have such good intentions, or he had the idea of treating Vegeta as a living bodhisattva, because he was also a Saiyan. It's your own fault. When Vegeta finds out and wakes up, that's another matter. Bang. Bang bang. Uncle Piccolo. At this time, the battlefield was gradually changing. Frieza saw that he missed the dragon twice. He was so angry that he directly skipped the third stage and entered the final form. Boom! The monstrous energy impacts the surface of Namek. From the surface of the planet, it seems as if the water surface is constantly setting off ripples and spreading. Piccolo was knocked down instantly, and Gohan and Krillin caught him. Bulma and others hid behind Violet and saw that she opened an energy barrier at this time, firmly blocking the aftermath of the impact. At this time, Goku flew upstream and flew directly in the direction of Frieza. Finally, this moment has arrived. At this point, he doesn't have time to think too much. This battle is inevitable anyway, and must be won. With his arms slightly lowered, Goku's feet emitted flashes of light and soared into the sky. Violent ki spurted out from his body, gathered into a column and enveloped him, constantly circling, echoing Frieza's ki, and rolling over each other. Boom. Finally, two pale energy balls expanded and then collided together, like two planets colliding hard together. Goku's face changed slightly. Frieza's energy exceeded his expectations. In an instant, Goku's energy was suppressed, and the light ball was suppressed to the point where it could not expand even half. The combat power of 60 million is indeed extraordinary. In that case, Kaioken, open it for me. Boom! Red light emerged, and Goku's energy suddenly expanded several times, pushing Frieza's energy back, and the energy gradually gained the upper hand. At this moment, the entire Namek planet went completely berserk. The sky and the earth turned pale, and the terrifying energy instantly filled the entire Namek planet. Even if you can't feel ki, you can instinctively feel a suffocating and terrifying pressure. That's great. Goku's pressure is greater than Frieza's. Okay, so powerful. That's so strong. Goku. No, this should be Goku's Kaioken. Frieza's strength should still be higher than Goku's. Piccolo was not so optimistic at this time. He heard Goku talking about Kaioken and understood that it was a unique skill to improve his strength. But this is just a stage of competing with each other. Goku actually uses this to fight Frieza, which shows the pressure Goku faces. Only Piccolo saw this at this time. This is indeed the case. Goku didn't know how to reach the anger level to transform into a Super Saiyan, but when he saw Vegeta's almost crazy attitude for these 5 words, he suddenly understood. I'm Son Goku, not some Saiyan Kakarot who will do whatever it takes to pursue a transformation like a Super Saiyan. You are yourself. You don't need to be like others. Even if you can't transform, you have no reason to retreat. Fight. No need to think so much. The Saiyan blood in your body is already boiling. Bang. Bang bang bang. Boom boom boom. In the white light, the two had already begun to fight without much communication. After Frieza transformed into his final form, he noticed Goku's sudden increase in power. He could not sense ki, but once they fought, he could feel Goku's power. Still above him, quietly put away that inflated thought point after a fierce fight, the two people suddenly collided with each other with all their strength. Visible ripples spread from their hands. Wherever they went, countless Namek islands began to fall apart, and the crust cracked. The endless water begins to pour in. Swish, swish, the expressions of both of them changed slightly, and then they retreated violently. Goku flashed a few times, and landed on an isolated island, while Frieza retreated to the top of a rock pillar, his scalded eyes full of coldness, overlooking the looking in Goku's direction point. Suddenly, Frieza seemed to suddenly remember something. He raised his hand, and nodded his head, and said with a sneer, "I remembered, you and the Saiyan who was killed when I destroyed planet Vegeta. People look exactly the same. Hehe, it's really interesting. Really, want to irritate yourself?" Goku's eyes were slightly focused, but he was not affected. He would never be easily distracted at this time point. Frieza saw this, and stopped saying anything. He lowered his arms slightly, and his face returned to calm. Then he suddenly disappeared from the place. The next moment, he suddenly flashed to Goku's side, and kicked him hard. Bang! Goku raised his arm to block it, but was still knocked away by the force of the blow, causing large splashes and billowing air waves when he stepped on the water. As soon as he turned his head, the red aura around Goku increased sharply and then disappeared, and then he kicked Frieza away with the same kick. Ugh! Frieza was caught off guard and felt uncomfortable. After receiving this blow, the pain made him feel humiliated. He ducked behind Goku again and directly hooked his neck with his tail, and then used his fists to blast behind Goku wildly. Point bang bang. After 2 punches, Frieza suddenly lost his balance. It turned out that his foot was also strangled by Goku's tail. With a tug, he changed his stance, and Frieza appeared at Goku's feet. Goku gathers energy with both feet. Yes, he can gather energy with his feet, but the huge energy is gathered into a super turtle style kicking, directly touching the face. Frieza was shocked, but didn't have the strength to get away. Goku's tail power was not necessarily weaker than his, and he was calculating mentally but not intentionally, so he couldn't avoid this move. Boom! A huge explosion swept away, and the dust from the explosion stirred up 100 meters. Goku appeared in mid-air, staring down. Cool. Sure enough, in the next moment, Frieza, who was slightly charred, tore open the smoke screen and rushed forward. The two got into a fight again, fighting madly. Bang. Bang bang bang. The fierce fighting is still going on, and the situation is getting more intense and anxious. Frieza's power is indeed terrifying, otherwise he wouldn't need to rely on transformation to actively suppress his power. What's even more terrifying is that Frieza has never even practiced training. This power is innate as he grows up. He is just like the legendary Super Saiyan. Even though he is naturally powerful, his growth rate is also buggy. You know, even among the Frozen Demon clan, Frieza is an extremely rare anomaly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82. 80 Million Warriors. The only thing to be thankful for now is probably that Frieza has not really tapped into his terrifying potential. Otherwise Goku would have no chance of winning. Bang. Goku clasped his fists and knocked Frieza down hard. The battle became more and more fierce. The two sides had already fired real fire, and Frieza also put away the contempt in his heart. Frieza rushed up again, and his violent energy became even more terrifying in his rage. He whipped Goku out with his tail, and then he chased him with a violent storm, and Goku caught them one by one in a short time. At this point in the battle, both sides' eyes were burning with anger and full of fighting spirit. In terms of paper strength, Goku with 10 times Kaioken has a combat power of 86.5 million. Frieza's final form before full firepower is 60 million. And with full firepower it can reach 120 million. So for now, Goku should have the upper hand, but unfortunately, the loss of physical strength caused by Kaioken is a big problem. This advantage cannot be maintained for a long time, and it is even less likely to be transformed into victory, let alone killing. Frieza, Goku, hit him. Fight back, don't lose. Bulma and others have also gained some strength, and she can even keep up with their movement through the air. Although her care and doting on Gohan makes her disagree with some of Goku's decisions, she still loves Goku. At this moment, he saw his husband fighting fiercely with Frieza, his hands gathered in front of him, and he was worried. At this moment, she seemed to understand a lot. In the original timeline, she was not only forced to become the resentful woman by successive blows, but also did not understand Goku. This is not without reason. Few people on the entire planet know that there are so many Z warriors who can destroy the world, let alone the terrifying span of their combat power collapsing after Frieza's chapter. The span is so great that even the enemies faced by Goku and others, even Earth warriors like Saiyan Jinfan, have gradually fallen behind the times, not to mention Shishi. It turns out that the enemies Goku faces are so terrifying. Boom. Blood spilled from the corner of Goku's mouth. He was hit by Frieza and his head tilted slightly. When he turned his head, he saw Frieza looking at him with a sneer on his face, looking very proud. Bang. Ha. The next moment, Goku punched Frieza in the face without hesitation. I'm going to make you laugh, smelly monkey. Frieza was also furious at this time. He had already put aside the matter of Palunga. He raised his hands and condensed a golden energy to envelope Goku. Goku felt as if he was being squeezed and imprisoned by the surrounding space, and he couldn't break free. This is one of Frieza's abilities. The most terrifying thing about Frieza is his talent, which is not only terrifying growth and innate advantages, but also various troublesome abilities. The ball of confinement in front of you is one. He can directly imprison an opponent whose strength is not much different from his own, and let him slaughter him. Bang. The next moment, Frieza knocked away the ball of confinement with one blow, and Goku groaned as he took the attack point. But just when Frieza was chasing after him and was about to continue using this move to suppress Goku, the ball of confinement was suddenly burst from the inside by a red light, followed by a terrifying white light that was 100 times more intense and exploded. Sun. Fist. Nani. The sudden bright light caused Frieza to lose his visual ability for a short time, followed by a series of wild bombings and heavy punches. On the other side, Piccolo also knew about this move. Perhaps he knew Goku's fighting style too well, so he anticipated it and made everyone close their eyes in advance. Although it won't blind his eyes directly, given Goku's energy at the moment, the effect is no different from looking directly at the sun at close range. There are still quite a few risks. For example, Frieza at this moment could not recover at all in a short period of time. He suffered several heavy blows from Goku and was injured. Boom. With one punch, Frieza was arched, and his internal organs were churning. Frieza fell into a passive state. He didn't give Frieza a chance to resist at all. He used fists, elbows, and knees, and all the attacks he could use, except for gathering energy, because he knew that, as long as one blow couldn't seriously damage, or even kill Frieza, it would be meaningless. It's just a waste of energy. His physical strength does not support such unnecessary consumption. Bang bang bang. A series of heavy blows finally caused Frieza to be stained and vomit blood from his mouth, but this also made Frieza even more crazy. Zinni. He raised his hand and used his telekinesis to control an island and threw it directly towards Goku. It was directly shattered by Goku's Kigen wave. But this attack was obviously just a feint. Sure enough, a red light penetrated the dust and penetrated Goku's body directly. Goku, Dad, everyone on the ground was shocked. Not only them, but Kao, Saiyan Jinfan and others who were far away on Kao planet and were paying attention to this place were too nervous to take a breath. Fortunately, the figure that was penetrated at this time gradually dissipated and was just an afterimage. Frieza thinks that Goku also uses his eyes to observe, but he doesn't know that when he can't see the enemy, he will subconsciously choose to use his energy. This is also the advantage of martial artist. The perception of ki is faster than the 5 senses, and there is no limitation of the eyes. This means that he can have a higher priority than Frieza, so at this point in the battle, he has not actually suffered any damage, and his physical strength is only the normal consumption of Kaioken. On the other hand, Frieza was slightly injured at this moment. Bang. Ugh. Poo. The next moment, Frieza retreated from the dust holding his stomach, and the purple blood in his mouth became more obvious. Goku, on the other hand, slowly flew out of the dust and looked at Frieza in front of him. His calm expression contained a bit of solemnity and confusion. He was not completely over the head yet. During the battle, he would try to sense and communicate intentionally or unintentionally. A deeper power within the body. I want to use this to successfully complete the Super Saiyan transformation. But contrary to expectations, he did not feel the power. After living on the earth for so long, Goku didn't think that the S cells in his body would be insufficient, and his combat power had reached 8.65 million, far exceeding the passing line of 3 million. Logically speaking, the difficulty of his transformation has been reduced to the greatest extent, so you still haven't found the trick yet. This kind of thing cannot be solved by just relying on some conjectures and guesses. He has no one to tell him what to do. He relies entirely on his own imagination and understanding to explore. The efficiency is really low. These thoughts just passed by for a moment, and Goku did not lose his mind and ignore Frieza. Call out. In anger, Frieza began to use his special Kigen wave attack, the Death Ray. The Scarlet Death Beam shot straight at it, and it was so lethal that even Goku didn't want to catch it. Even if he could catch it, it would be thankless. He decisively dodged and rushed towards Frieza, and had a close duel with him. Ugh. Frieza looked at the suddenly enlarged face in front of him, and subconsciously wanted to retreat. At this point, he had already suffered several losses, so he instinctively did not want to fight with Goku. Bang. However, how could Goku let go of this opportunity? If he had the chance, he would not let go of the opportunity to kill Frieza before he could use his full strength. And just as the two started a new round of fierce battle, a figure flew back from a distance. It's Vegeta, who left earlier. Chapter 83. So much drama. The words were divided into two parts. Vegeta, who had successfully obtained immortality before, was naturally ecstatic. His whole person had completely fallen into a crazy mood, and he was not aware of his own changes at all. And after he flew to a farther distance, he immediately reacted. Why do I want to run? I have already obtained the immortal body. As long as I use the Saiyan's ability to recover after near death to increase combat effectiveness, why should I be afraid of Frieza and that guy Kakarot? I'm the legendary Super Saiyan. I'm the prince of the Saiyans. So, Vegeta, who suddenly awakened, began to self-mutilate. Yes, it was self-mutilation. He directly punched a big hole in his body with all his strength, which looked extremely terrifying. It must be said that Vegeta was indeed a ruthless person. Most people have to worry about popping a blister, let alone opening a big hole in their body that will make them feel cold. The injuries on his body quickly recovered under the blessing of the immortal body. Vegeta stood up, then with a sinister smile on his face, he fired another shot and directly disabled himself. After several times in succession, Vegeta clenched his fist and felt better than ever. This is the feeling. Super Saiyan. No, I want to surpass Super Saiyan. This power should be enough to deal with Frieza and Kakarot. Right. This is probably the drawback of key perception. Without a fixed reference target, it is difficult to judge whether one's strength has improved. What's more, although Vegeta is a genius, he has only initially mastered key perception. I haven't figured out the complete system of key, otherwise I wouldn't have contributed so many famous scenes in the original work in which people pretend to be cross-dressed, but get burned instead. In the middle, Vegeta also felt Frieza's terrifying aura, but he was so angry that Frieza directly skipped the third stage in the middle and entered the final stage of transformation. The combat power soars directly from the million level to the tens of millions level, so much so that Vegeta can no longer even perceive the gap. Just like Kame Sennin and others were unable to judge the gap after Goku's combat power reached several thousand. Further losing his own judgment made Vegeta more and more convinced of his own judgment. Ha ha ha, ah ha ha ha. Drink. Vegeta was ecstatic, and the aura around him exploded unbridled, with white aura mixed with blue lightning. his hair standing on end, and waves of air billowing. It looked very bluffing, and then it flew directly into the sky and headed towards the battlefield between Frieza and Goku. Kakarot. Frieza. Goku and Frieza were stunned by the sudden roar. They even stopped in the midst of a fierce battle, and turned their heads to look over. Why are you shouting so loudly? Drink. As a result, Vegeta rushed over madly, and without saying a word, he decisively launched the prince's strategy on the two of them. After a while of ta-da-da-da-da, Vegeta's eyes became extremely excited, and his breathing became rapid. Finally, ha 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 ha, I'm indeed the strongest Saiyan, the strongest Super Saiyan in the entire universe. On the ground, Piccolo and others were stunned. To be precise, I don't know what expression to show. I can only think of here. What is this guy doing back here? Gohan felt that his CPU was smoking, and said blankly, I don't know, but he still looked at Piccolo. Uncle Piccolo, what is Vegeta doing when he comes back? Piccolo, you can tell by the look on my face that even I want to know what kind of plane this is. Bulma and others also looked at each other in confusion at this time. Violet was blowing bubbles leisurely. Anyway, she was not panicking at all. In the sky, the dust dispersed, and Goku and Frieza stopped fighting. They each had a tacit understanding and retreated a distance. The outcome can be determined at any time, and they are all more interested in another thing now. That's what Vegeta is doing. To be honest, they were all shocked by Vegeta's attack just now, but it was not the power of this move that scared them, but Vegeta's actions. Frieza thought in his mind, is this Vegeta? Has he always been so brave? In Goku's heart, seeing that the two people's reactions were stagnant, Vegeta didn't realize what the problem was. Instead, he held his hands and let out a villainous laugh of Frieza felt that Vegeta's appearance and laughter were strangely familiar, as if he had seen them before somewhere. Ha 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 ha. Then, Vegeta laughed more and more arrogantly. Now Frieza couldn't bear it anymore. A vein appeared on his forehead and his eyelids twitched. However, curiosity suppressed his anger and he showed his signature smile and said, ha 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 ha. Vegeta-san, you seem to be in a good mood. How about I feel happy if you tell me any good things? After Vegeta laughed wildly, he still pointed a finger at Frieza with his arrogant attitude. Goku thought to himself, good guy, the great desolate prisoner of heaven's finger. As if this wasn't enough, Vegeta moved his finger towards him again, and Goku quickly shook his head left and right. Hey, I can't point it out, I'm just playing with it. Stuck. Vegeta's eyelids twitched, and he was about to get angry, but then he endured it, retracted his index finger, then gave a thumbs up, made a gorgeous 180-degree turn towards the two of them, and then downwards. Okay, loser Kyo's true biography. Goku doesn't care, but looking at Frieza, he has reached the limit of his patience. Frieza, Kakarot, I'm now the legendary Super Saiyan. I can crush you all with just a raise of my hand. Ha 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 ha. He laughed wildly again. There was so much laughter now. There are so many dramas. Goku secretly thought it was a pity. If this was filmed, he would not be able to eat him for the rest of his life. Oh. Frieza narrowed his eyes slightly, but did not explode immediately, but laughed and said, Vegeta-san, have you really become the legendary Super Saiyan? A hand was quietly placed behind his back. He can't sense ki, and naturally he doesn't know Vegeta's reality. First, Goku, the alien Saiyan, broke his inherent impression of Saiyans. Coupled with the legend that has been circulated among the Frozen Demon Clan, the legend of the Super Saiyan has always been a taboo for the Frozen Demon Clan. Various signs made Frieza wary. Goku had already created some pressure on him, but it was not enough to make him lose control. But Vegeta suddenly appeared and claimed to be the legendary Super Saiyan, so he couldn't help but think about it. Frieza, Vegeta suddenly shouted loudly, startling Frieza, and the energy condensed in his hand shook. There was even a trace of cold sweat on his face, and his eyes became serious. In fact, Vegeta had always been too submissive to him like a dog, and the sudden contrast made him even more unsure. Today, I will make you feel the humiliation I suffered 100 times. Feel the despair. This is the power of Super Saiyan. Drink. Veins popped up on Vegeta's forehead, and then his whole body exploded with energy. The arrogance soared into the sky. The voice was full of energy. There was lightning and thunder, and some rocks floated around, which was really bluffing point. But this phenomenon is actually nothing more than excessive ki spilling out and causing a large amount of surrounding ions to gather. It can be done with a few hundred combat power, but it is just a waste of ki. Frieza watched intently, dumbfounded. Goku's eyelids twitched as the show wasn't over yet. Chapter 84 Frieza 100%. Boom. In the sky above Namek, waves of air swept across, flying sand and rocks, and thunder and lightning in the sky. The arrogance surrounding Vegeta almost reached a height of more than 3 feet, just like his hairstyle. To be honest, this is the first time Goku has seen someone who can directly use explosive energy to drain half of his physical strength. How should I put it? It's quite bluffing. Frieza was shocked, even if he didn't see it. It's a pity that as a martial artist, in the eyes of Goku and others, Vegeta's behavior was so stupid that it was a bit funny. But that's right. Which Earthling have you seen use this battle to get angry? Generally speaking, Saiyans rely on their potential. When they are about to be beaten, they will utter forcefully stimulate their potential, which is commonly known as explosion. People on Earth do not have this potential, so R cannot come out. Ha. Ha. Sure. Enough. After Vegeta said R without thinking for a while, he looked so out of breath that even Frieza frowned, vaguely feeling that something was wrong. Vegeta was still confident. With an arrogant attitude, he sneered and raised 3 fingers and said to Goku, 3 moves. He was about to kill Goku in 3 moves, and then Frieza. After all, in his opinion, Kakarot was not a Super Saiyan until he defeated Frieza. But in the end, Goku really didn't see it. He was afraid of being misunderstood, that he was playing with a fool, so he decisively ducked and appeared 100 meters behind Frieza, just forming a 3-point line with Vegeta. Frieza was startled. He squeezed his hand behind him and crushed the half-condensed energy. Did this guy notice it? He is still a little afraid of Goku, especially Goku's behavior at this time. In his opinion, doesn't this mean that he is teaming up with Vegeta to besiege him? Vegeta was interrupted by Goku's move, so he didn't care and shouted directly at Frieza. Frieza. 3 minutes. I'm going to kill you in 3 minutes, Sine. But Vegeta clasped his hands together and violent energy suddenly shone. This was his ultimate move, Flash Cannon. Frieza was paying attention to Goku at this time, and when he turned his head, he didn't avoid it. Vegeta's move hit him hard, and a huge explosion of dust was stirred up in the air. Vegeta was panting, unable to hide his excitement. However, as the dust was blown away by the wind, what was revealed was Frieza, who was completely unscathed, but with an extremely angry expression on his face, a face twisted with rage. He raised a hand and pointed it at Vegeta, slowly clasped it tightly, and said in a cold tone without any emotion, Sine. Boom. Vegeta's body was instantly blasted by a burst of energy from the inside out, exploding. After Frieza finished doing this, he turned to look at Goku, let out a long breath, and restored his slightly evil smile. Sap, the troublesome garbage has been dealt with. Let's continue the duel just now. I can't see, Goku said, still looking behind him. Frieza frowned slightly, then turned his head and saw Vegeta returning to his original state. His pupils shrank slightly, and then he raised his hand angrily and released a burst of energy to imprison Vegeta. He was not stupid. Combined with his previous inadvertent sighting of Vegeta approaching Shenron and his behavior at this moment, he immediately understood that Vegeta was already immortal. So just use the ball of confinement to control him. He can't be killed, but Vegeta is too weak. This ball of confinement can control him inside for a long time. If no one comes to help him break the seal. Vegeta's expression froze. Confusion, anger, fear and other emotions intertwined together, making his expression a little distorted. Goku feels that, if he could enter his emotional state, he would have transformed long ago. Alas, have you lived a comfortable life for too long and become too emotionally stable, so lazy? A new round of duel begins, and this time the battle between Goku and Frieza escalates again, and even begins to destroy the foundation of the entire Namek planet. Frieza sliced Namek open with one blow, and Goku had no choice but to start consuming a lot of energy. and use Super Turtle style Kigen to fight the death bomb. Because his physical strength declined so quickly, even though Frieza was injured, his physical strength was still much higher than Goku's. As a last resort, Goku activated the 15x Kaioken and forced it back. Boom. The light of the turtle style Kigen engulfed Frieza's figure, and his ki dropped a bit. Goku's condition was only slightly better, and his physical strength declined rapidly. Boom. The ground beneath your feet cracked, and magma exploded. A bottomless abyss cut through Namek. This was Frieza's handiwork. With just this blow, Namek's time has entered the countdown, but not so fast. High in the air, Frieza was covered in injuries, and anger almost burst out of his eyes. He stared in the direction of Goku, and then he regained his composure and slowly fell down. It wasn't until he fell in front of Goku that he said, "Saiyan, you surprised me. Now I kind of believe in the legend. Are you the legendary Super Saiyan? Aren't you always scared?" Goku said while calming his breathing. Although neither of them were in good condition at this time, he knew very well that he only suffered less injuries, but Kaioken was really consuming too much energy. Even if Frieza does not activate 100% combat power, it will still be extremely difficult for him to defeat him. Although Frieza was smiling when he heard this, there was anger in his eyes. He didn't want to mention this matter. Just like Vegeta, he had a lot of pride in his heart and was unwilling to admit that he was afraid. Even afraid of the so-called Super Saiyan appearing. Immediately, Frieza's eyes suddenly fired 2 death rays without any warning, blasting Goku directly away. Goku's reaction was still not slow, but compared to the previous attack, he could dodge it completely. At this moment, he could only bear it with his arms, and 2 black burn marks appeared on his arms. Frieza was even more proud, looking at Goku, as if he had a chance to win. "Sure enough, your power has reached its end, Saiyan. In that case, let you see my true power. 100% full strength." Boom. A violent bolt of lightning fell from behind Frieza, and then Frieza's figure swelled a bit. His veins popped out, and his whole body glowed with a terrifying purple light. Boom. The ground trembled violently. Goku looked solemnly and quietly ate a fairy bean. Frieza's full combat power was 120 million, but he still hadn't figured out the key to transformation, which made him feel very unsure. But it is not completely hopeless. 15 times Kaioken can also allow him to briefly reach 120 million combat power. Even if it comes at the cost of great physical strength or even physical damage, he can still fight Frieza head on. A wave. As for 20 times, he wouldn't use it unless absolutely necessary. Because he can no longer control that kind of power. Even the power brought by 15 times Kaioken is already challenging the limit of this body. 20 times is already fighting for his life. He might as well just take Frieza and blow himself up. At least the success rate of self-destruction to kill Frieza is extremely high. Chapter 85 Tactical Cutting. At this time, most of the Namekians on Namek had been transferred away. Perhaps due to Palunga's selfish motives, when the Great Elder was affected, his miraculous power was activated in advance. On the contrary, Piccolo and others have been observing the battlefield, looking for opportunities, but what is desperate is that their strength is simply unable to intervene in this kind of battlefield. What? That monster doesn't have all the power. TSK. Piccolo's face was extremely gloomy, and everyone else looked in the direction of the battlefield with worried faces. Frieza's power had begun to spread to the surrounding space, which was extremely terrifying. Even if you don't want to believe it, the facts are in front of you. Frieza's energy is increasing. On Kao planet, Chai-Jin Fan and others watched the battle with the help of Kao's ability, but at this moment they were also extremely shocked. That monster, can this guy really be defeated? Goku, raw, Goku, it all depends on you. Do you want to use energy bombs? I can help. King K has been paying attention to the battlefield, but did not dare to disturb Goku, for fear of putting Goku at a disadvantage. But at this moment Frieza was gathering strength, and he also discovered the fact that Goku was close to his limit. At the same time, on Namek. Thank you, Kao-sama. Goku hesitated for a moment and gave up on using the energy bomb. There is a lot of vitality on Namek, but the amount of energy that the King of K can help him collect from the universe is very limited. In addition, it takes at least a few minutes or even longer to accumulate. This trick is really not suitable for use in head-to-head confrontations. It's okay not to be discovered, but once he is discovered, he can't interrupt the process of gathering energy and can only be beaten passively, so there is really no hope point in his opinion. Vitality bombs should either be used or prepared in advance. Drink. At this time, Frieza completed the final blast of energy, and the terrifying energy turned into light, instantly cutting off a piece of Namek under his feet and turning it into dust. Purple flames linger around the body, mixed with lightning energy. Hehehe. How about it, Frieza? Now entered a 100% combat power state and expanded to the extreme. He looked at Goku and opened his arms and said, "My current combat power is 120 million. Really? That's a shame, Gilu." After chewing the senbei in his mouth and swallowing it directly, Goku's eyes reflected bright light and he looked at Frieza. Then Goku also activated Kaioken again. 15x Kaioken starts. Drink. The weakness of Kaioken is obvious, that is, it consumes a lot of energy and burden, but its advantages are also considerable, not to mention that it can double the combat effectiveness. More importantly, this method is even more direct and faster than explosive energy. Exploding ki still requires the process of gathering ki, but Kaioken does not point. As long as your physical strength and body can hold it, you can open Kaioken at any time. This is a pure release process without any forward shaking. Boom. The red flames burning around Goku are no less than Frieza's full power form, with two energies, one red and one purple, complementing each other. Frieza was slightly startled, then laughed wildly, and rushed towards Goku. The final battle begins. Bang. The arrogance was shaken away, and the two sides once again started a fierce fist and kick fight, punching to the flesh, without any tricks. At this moment, Frieza was using his full strength, so naturally he could not have the same playful mentality as before. Bang bang bang. Boom. During the fight, red light shot out of Goku's eyes. Goku raised his hand and struck hard. Then without hesitation, he fired a Kigen wave in the face, blasting Frieza away, and then turned around and ran away. Frieza was furious and chased after him. The two men chased each other in the ravine created by Frieza's attack. Wherever they passed, horrific explosions spread out. Boom. Boom boom boom. After a series of explosions, the two men rushed out from the other side of the cliff again, one red and one purple, flying high into the sky one after the other. After reaching mid-air, Goku raised his hand to release the Kigen bombs to slow down Frieza while climbing up. Frieza slapped the Kigen bombs away one by one with his bare hands, chasing after him step by step. At this moment, Goku suddenly put his hands in front of him, and with the terrifying red arrogance around him increasing again, he unleashed a powerful Super Turtle style kicking. Now, Frieza was caught off guard and was hit directly. He didn't expect that Goku would directly launch such a big move without even gathering his energy. This was something even he couldn't do. Even with his terrifying talent, he still needs to gather energy to launch such a terrifying killing move. In fact, Goku is no exception, but he has his own way. Kaioken, Gilu, on KO Planet, King K is the only person who discovered what Goku did at that moment. Goku, this guy, used my Kaioken to this extent. He is really a scary guy. That's right. Goku took advantage of Kaioken's characteristics. At that moment, he directly upgraded Kaioken to 20 times. This move of Super Turtle style Kigen looks like a full blow, but in fact he uses 20 times the power of Kaioken to directly eliminate the process of gathering ki. Not only that, because the control is very accurate and the activation time is too short, his attack even avoided 20 times Kaioken's terrifying consumption and physical damage. With 20 times the Kaioken, Goku's combat power can soar directly to 160 million. This hair turtle skull Kigen is also equivalent to Goku's direct activation with 160 million combat power. Frieza naturally suffered a loss. Son. Goku, Frieza, was angry, and he withstood this move, and the injuries in his body worsened again. In the previous duel with Goku, he had been injured one after another by Goku. As the injuries accumulated, his physical strength was rapidly declining. Faced with this sudden blow, his injuries were already quite serious at the same time. He also completely entered a state of rage. Under the terrifying interweaving of lightning, a scarlet disc condensed in Frieza's hand, and he swung it directly at Goku. Death cut. Although it is unclear whether Krillin has developed the Kyuan/. Goku knows how terrifying this killing move that is purely based on destructive power is. If used well, this killing move can even kill enemies beyond levels. But a terrifying buzzing sound resounded, and Goku retreated decisively. Nisane. Frieza was furious at this moment. He waved his hands and used his mind power to control the Death Cutter and chased away. This is a combined ability, combined with the speed and destructive power of death cutting. It is terrifying. Goku kept flying, surrounded by dangers, using the now unrecognizable terrain of Namek to keep avoiding. Just when he used the previous ravine to avoid again, another red disc suddenly appeared in front of him. Poof, a line of scarlet blood ripped straight across the surface of his body, and Goku looked in pain. Whoosh, Goku dodged again, and rushed high into the sky. Frieza shouted angrily, and controlled two discs to rush towards him again, knowing that he couldn't continue, as Kaioken's consumption and injuries would make his body unable to hold on. Goku decisively used his explosive energy again, and then rushed straight towards Frieza. Drink. There was no fear in Frieza's eyes, and he controlled the Death Cutter to continue chasing. At this point in the battle, he had already lost his reason and judgment. All he knew was that Goku was cornered at the moment, being chased by his own special moves, and was about to be defeated. Just before arriving in front of Frieza, Goku decisively launched a Kigen wave to knock Frieza back, which also interrupted his telekinesis ability and caused dust to fly everywhere. Damn. Saiyan. Before Frieza finished speaking, two death cuts rushed towards him from the dust. This move, like its name, symbolizes death, calculated mentally and unintentionally, coupled with the fear of death that invaded him in an instant. Frieza's arm was cut off by a blow without any reaction, and his body was almost cut in half from the middle. The miserable appearance was shocking, but Goku breathed a deep sigh of relief. He was not completely sure of defeating Frieza, but it turned out that tactics were very important. Chapter 86 Opportunity. Win. The moment Frieza was severely injured by his own special move, these two words popped up in the hearts of everyone watching the battle on Namek and KO. Win. Ki almost jumped up. Piccolo and the others were overjoyed. Even Vegeta's ball of confinement was immediately released, because Frieza was severely injured. They looked at Frieza's miserable appearance in horror as the person involved. Goku also breathed a sigh of relief subconsciously. The consumption of 15 times Kaioken was still too much, especially after 2 bursts of 20 times Kaioken. His physical strength bottomed out again. If this tactic fails, he will consider eating the last fairy bean and continue fighting Frieza to death. As it turns out, he won. Hiss. He directly tore off the tattered clothes on his body, revealing his strong and angular body. At this time, there was a scarlet scar on his chest and back, which was constantly flowing with blood. Those two death cuts not only severely injured Frieza, but also almost killed him. His head is in a different place. He took out the last fairy bean he brought with him from the interlayer of his belt. He originally had 3 fairy beans with him. When he seriously injured himself, he ate one to stimulate his potential. Then he gave one to Krillin, but he never got one from Klin. He had eaten one just now to fight Frieza's full strength, but now this was the last one he had on him. He plans to use this moment to end Frieza once and for all. Just when he was about to eat the fairy beans, suddenly, a terrifying death ray struck, instantly destroying the fairy beans in his hand. Subconscious avoidance saved Goku's life. Looking solemnly, Frieza survived with his tenacious vitality. Not only that, his energy was only partially reduced. One-armed, with terrifying lightning and purple aura lingering around him. Anger filled every cell in him. Goku's expression became solemn. Frieza seemed to have been severely injured, but his strength was still here. He didn't have much physical strength left. If he continued to fight in this state, he still had a high chance of losing. Goku. At this moment, Krillin flew over from a distance. Goku immediately realized that Krillin was here to deliver fairy beans, and Frieza also noticed. Although he didn't know what Krillin was doing here, Frieza was so angry that he directly raised his hand and fired a death ray at Krillin. Whoosh. Goku directly dodged to block it, but he was also pushed back. He directly activated the 20-fold Kaioken and rushed towards Frieza. At this time, he had to suppress Frieza to get the Senzu beans to arrive, so he turned around to protect him. Krillin is definitely acting irrationally. If you want to kill someone, you only need to attack, but if you want to protect someone, you have to consider too many things. Bang. Bang bang bang. Goku and Frieza were furiously fighting each other. At this time, both of them were at the end of their strength and struggling to survive. Goku is eager to get the Senzu beans, and the rapid loss of physical strength under the 20-fold Kaioken has no time to take care of it, and his condition plummets. Frieza was completely overwhelmed by his anger at this moment. He actually refused to retreat, even though he was seriously injured, dragging Goku along. The two sides were in a stalemate and were very anxious. Krillin was already close, but couldn't get within 100 meters of the battlefield between the two. Gritting his teeth, Krillin took out 2 fairy beans and threw them in Goku's direction. Goku. Senzu. Goku was at a loss for control at this time, and with a sudden thought, he directly raised Kaioken to 25 times for an instant. The combat effectiveness soared again, reaching more than 200 million. Boom. With one blow, Frieza was slammed into the ground of Namek. The arrogance around him dissipated, and Goku's physical strength reached the end. He turned around and was about to catch the fairy beans thrown by Krillin. However, at this moment, a Kigen wave directly destroyed the 2 fairy beans. Goku's pupils shrank, and anger surged in his heart. He turned around and found that it was Vegeta. HOLE. What are you doing? Piccolo also flew over. He was preparing to take over from the side. He was already prepared to give the fairy beans to Goku, even if he risked his life. He was paying close attention to Frieza's every move, but he didn't even think about it. To the variable of Vegeta, Kakarot, you have become a Super Saiyan, right? You don't even need this kind of thing to defeat Frieza, so don't do anything embarrassing for me here. Vegeta, he said with an angry expression. Goku couldn't describe his feelings in words at this moment, and he couldn't even understand Vegeta's thoughts. If Frieza broke his defense because he was seriously injured, then he also broke his defense at this moment. So much so that he could no longer think calmly. Son. Goku. Frieza's figure seemed to have crawled out of hell, with blood constantly flowing from his broken arms and body, and he gradually flew up. The purple aura all over his body gained a bit of lackluster. Resentment and anger have caused him to completely lose control and go berserk. Goku took a deep breath, glanced at Bulma and the others who had moved away because Violet and Gohan were protecting them and were still not in danger, and then turned to face Frieza. At this point, he only had one last move left. Bang. Amid the roar, Goku and Frieza were like weapons of victory that would never stop, fighting like crazy. The red flames were scattered, and Goku was suddenly blasted into the ground. Frieza attacked crazily, and one blow caused Goku to spit out blood and his eyes became blurred. Frieza wraps up the unconscious Goku with his tail and prepares to kill him. But then the scarlet flames rose again. Goku's eyes did not regain consciousness, but he instinctively grabbed Frieza's tail, and a shocking thunder spread. The shocking palm of all nations. Frieza's movements froze for a moment. Goku seized the opportunity to blast him away, and then the two figures once again fell into an endless and crazy fight. But the red flames were dispersed again soon after, and Goku's body had reached its limit. Vegeta, you guy. Piccolo grabbed Vegeta, his eyes burning with anger, but Vegeta showed no guilt at all. Instead, he sneered, that guy Kakarot is already the legendary Super Saiyan. What are you afraid of? Damn. Kakarot, he must know the disadvantages of immortality. How dare he do this to me? Die. Disappear forever. With that Frieza guy, anger and hatred had blinded his eyes. From the moment he realized that his immortal body was a trap, he had completely lost his balance. Bullshit. B******. Piccolo and Krillin also broke through their defenses at this moment, staring at Vegeta. Bang. With his physical strength exhausted, Goku experienced the most brutal and difficult battle since he came to this world. His body reached its limit, and Frieza fell to the ground after a blow, unable to get up. Goku. Dat. Frieza. fell in front of Goku, enjoying the joy of revenge, and confirmed that Goku could no longer stand up. Frieza also noticed other people in the distance at this time point with an evil smile in his eyes. A purple energy gradually gathered and was aimed at Bulma and others in the distance point, but he looked at Goku and said, "Son Goku, I want you to feel what despair is." Hehe, boom. The purple energy turned into destructive power and blasted out. Time and space seemed to condense in Goku's eyes at this moment, and a golden lightning flashed through his eyes. Even Frieza didn't notice that his figure had disappeared. ZHI. Boom. Chapter 87 The End. Boom. The horrific explosion almost made the surrounding air tremble. The surface of Namek, which was on the verge of collapse, was surging with waves. The gradually blurred figures of Bulma and others returned to their original state. Shenlong's power was cancelled at the last moment. Goku. Dat. Opening his eyes, Bulma saw Goku's figure gradually solidifying from the illusory state in front of him, and immediately realized what had happened. Goku turned around and smiled, then his eyes became firm, and the terrifying energy was gradually aroused from deep within his body. Golden lightning lingered all around. Gradually, a faint golden light began to flicker, the figure gradually flew away, and he was face to face with Frieza again. Goku, why? She shed tears. Bulma bit her lower lip lightly, a touch of warmth appeared in her eyes. Goku, he knows we won't die, but he won't watch us get hurt. This idiot. Dad. Come on. Gohan shouted. Goku, hey, this guy's really worrying. Flying. In front of Frieza, Goku's hair, eyebrows, and even his tail began to shimmer with golden luster, and were changing. At this moment, a surge of power surged from his heart. Goku still didn't know where the critical point of anger was for transforming into a Super Saiyan, but he felt like he didn't need that kind of thing at the moment. Call out. A golden light gushes out from the body, gradually spreading throughout the body, and the golden light flashes on the surface of the body. Boom. Boom. Rays of golden lightning fell from the sky as if they were trembling at the arrival of a god. Now, Frieza was shocked when he saw his change, and then decisively struck with the death cut. Bang. However, this terrifying killing move was firmly blocked by one hand, and then crushed to pieces. Click. That's right. Just crush it. He has golden hair and eyebrows, green eyes, and a golden tail swinging slowly behind him. As the golden flames rise, endless power pours out of his body. Goku seemed to be sublimated at this moment. His expression was a little cold and indifferent, but his expression soon melted away. Without completing the transformation through pure rage, Goku felt better than ever, and the power didn't seem to be as difficult to control as rumored. Frieza was already in disarray and slowly retreated backwards, but his feet were blocked by a piece of gravel, which was then directly crushed into powder by him. Anger burned in his eyes again, and Frieza took action directly. He rushed in front of Goku and struck with all his strength in anger. Snap. However, this blow was received by Goku in an understated manner. A wave of aftermath spread behind him, but Goku's figure remained motionless, as steady as a mountain. That's impossible. Ugh. The next moment, Goku kicked out with a thunderous force. Frieza was knocked away, blood spurted out, and he was severely injured. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. The death rays were bombarded crazily, and the weird flames were constantly bombarded, but Goku was able to resolve them all, as if he was just strolling around. Super Saiyan, 50 times increase. Goku's combat power is 8.65 million, so his combat power after transformation at this moment is 430 million, a full 430 million. Even if Frieza has 100% power, he only has 120 million. Their strength is no longer in the same dimension. There is no suspense about the next result. Goku is unilaterally torturing him, and Frieza has no power to resist. As Frieza fell to the ground, Goku walked up to him, while maintaining his Super Saiyan state, slowly raised his hand, and said indifferently, "Boring. Just prepare to solve it, and end this battle completely." Damn it. Frieza was at the end of his strength. Goku had already consumed too much of his power. He had lost the ability to resist. One of his eyes had been closed, but he still glared at Goku with unwillingness. "You damn say, subhuman. Stinky monkey, if I hadn't been careless, you should have been killed by me long ago." "Really? Goku's eyes were very calm, and he looked up at Krillin and Piccolo in the distance. Are there any more fairy beans? Krillin hurriedly looked at Piccolo, who took out one and said, yes. Piccolo didn't think much about it, just thinking that Goku was too exhausted at this time and wanted to use Symbians to replenish it, so he threw the Symbians at him. However, after Goku got the Senzu beans, he threw them directly to Frieza. Bay, idiot. What are you doing, Goku? Kill him quickly, don't let him transform. That's right, do it quickly. The others immediately panicked, feeling a little depressed by Goku's actions and unable to understand his actions. Shut up. How could the Saiyan pride allow such a thing? Kakarot is already a Super Saiyan. Damn it. Vegeta said unwillingly. At this time Frieza hesitated for a moment, then after seeing everyone's reaction, he ate it regardless of what it was, and Goku did not stop him. The next moment, lightning and thunder began all over Namek. Frieza's energy is back to its peak. Not only that, even the broken arm and horrific injuries on the body were recovered instantly. Goku didn't care about this, but felt it slightly, and found that Frieza's energy had indeed improved. He guessed that part of his potential had been released, but after all, it was not the Saiyan method of directly recovering from death and exploding point, but Frieza's energy has probably soared to the level of 200 million. This is already astonishing. No, it should be said to be terrifying. Goku's strength comes from the Super Saiyan transformation, while Frieza is in his final form. The consumption of the two is not on the same level. The physical exhaustion of Super Saiyan will not be resolved until full power is reached. After Frieza fully recovered and exuded an even more terrifying aura, Goku's expression remained calm. Is this the only level? Ha ha ha. Frieza felt the surge of power in his body, and his self-confidence swelled again, and he said gloomily, damn stinky monkey, I will let you see what the power of the Universe Emperor is. Ha, bang. Before he finished speaking, Goku's fist fell on him, hitting him until his eyes popped out. Bang bang bang. Boom. What followed was a violent attack that directly hit Frieza seriously. This time Goku did not give Frieza another chance. It was already a trick to increase his combat power. If Frieza's potential is really, if it is completely released, the fun will be great. Although I don't know if Beerus and Whis saw something, so they chose Frieza as a spokesman. But those who can be favored by the God of Destruction are probably only those with enough potential to become candidates for the God of Destruction. There is no doubt about the potential of this monster. If this were not the case, even Supreme K would not be taken seriously by Beerus, so how could he find a little guy like Frieza? In the final blow, Goku used all his Super Turtle style Kigen to directly smash Frieza's planet destroying bomb and blast it into the universe. It was not until he could no longer feel Frieza's ki that Goku released the transformation. Ding. Defeat Frieza and get potential +2. Gold. Ding. Get the skill. Nyan ability. Ding. Get the skill. Universe survival. Doesn't it directly improve combat effectiveness? Goku is inevitably a little disappointed. After all, if Frieza's 200 million combat power is used as a basis, his strength after transformation will be unimaginable. But he soon felt relieved. Facing those monsters in the later period with combat power of hundreds of billions, this kind of improvement was really too slow. On the contrary, it is not as satisfying as the potential value. After all, even if his strength gradually increases, let alone how difficult it is to find so many monsters with incredible combat power. Monsters like Majin Buu that cannot be killed, as long as they are not injured, are a big problem. Not to mention that they have to be defeated to gain combat effectiveness. It was simply torture. On the contrary, it is better to give the potential value directly so that his strength can be doubled and his potential will never be exhausted. The only thing that makes Goku regretful is that Frieza did not die. His ability to survive in the universe is too buggy. Normally, being thrown into the universe and being seriously injured would definitely lead to death. It can only be said that the Frozen Demon Clan is indeed unique, and Frieza is even more alien. Chapter 88 Meteor. On the Universe spacecraft returning to Earth, Goku and his team embarked on the road back to Earth. Although Piranga's miraculous power allows him to leave Namek before its destruction, this ability is nothing more than an opportunity to save his life. Bulmash's first wish is to be teleported back to Earth if he encounters danger. including everyone on Namek who is not part of Frieza's Legion point. Once the crisis is over, there is no need to waste this wish point before the explosion of Namek. Bulma directly used the Universal Capsule to release the Universe spacecraft and embarked on his way home. The only change was probably that the estimated energy and number of people traveling back and forth were slightly different, which caused the Universe spacecraft to run out of energy after arriving at the solar system. In the end, Goku simply turned into a Super Saiyan and directly used turtle-style Kigen to push the Universe spaceship towards the Earth. It's dead. Help. Goku. After entering the atmosphere, the Universe spacecraft lost its brakes and fell crazily under the influence of gravity. Piccolo and others were unable to slow it down. Bulma was operating in the Universe spacecraft and suddenly found that the parts in the spacecraft began to fall off one by one. He immediately gritted his teeth angrily. Damn it. Dad, it turns out that, although the spacecraft was designed by Dr. Brief, it was the first time to build a Universe spaceship after all, and there were no experiments, so naturally it couldn't be so perfect. At the critical moment, Goku hurriedly controlled gravity to temporarily slow down the Universe spaceship and used his telekinesis to send the Universe spaceship directly to Bulma's house in Metropolis. Oh, are you back safely? It seems that we need to collect performance data. Dr. Brief saw the tattered Universe spacecraft and stepped forward to check it. As a result, a slightly embarrassed Bulma came out and grabbed him by the collar and roared with fangs. Dad, it's really you. Isn't it safe to come back? Oh, it's great that you guys are here too. Gohan. Snort. Bulma himself was involved in the manufacturing, so he naturally knew that there must be some problems with this untested Universe spacecraft. Rather, it is a manifestation of talent that the first Universe spaceship built by Dr. Brief can reach Namek and come back intact. Bulma, you guys have been out for a long time. Oops. It's great that Shishi and Gohan are here too. I just prepared afternoon tea. Hehe. Under the setting sun, Goku glanced at the Namekians in Bulma's backyard. While Piccolo was communicating with them. They were teleported to Earth in advance and have been there for a month. After a while, Chai and Jinfan, Yamcha and Dumplings, who were aware of their anger, also rushed over and participated in the celebration banquet in Buma. The three people have been resurrected within this month using the Dragon Balls of the Earth. Dang dang dang. After dinner, Goku chatted with the others for a while, then walked to the corner and began to summarize the harvest. Host, Son Goku bloodline, Saiyan, lower level warrior, age 22 key, combat power 865,000, 0/10, potential value, gold. 2 superpowers, gravity control, 20 times gravity, soul exchange, telekinesis, universe survival. He hadn't noticed before that in addition to the 2 abilities of telekinesis and universe survival, Frieza also had different potential values provided to him. It turned out to be a potential value of golden quality, and it also showed a shining golden luster on the panel. The introduction of the potential value of golden quality is also very simple and crude. Potential value, gold. Combat power is increased to the power of 2 without any difference. Not double, but 2 raised to the power of 2. That's 4 times. Not only that, this increase in combat power does not overlap with the normal potential value. What is this concept? For example, after the normal potential value is released, the combat power that can be improved will remain unchanged unless it returns to the normal level again. For example, Goku previously thought about using a little potential to double his combat power and then using a little more to double it, and so on. The combat power he can increase is not 10 times, but it is 2 to the 10th power of the original combat power, a full 1024 times improvement. However, it turns out that such a good thing like a bug is impossible to happen. The potential value is the potential of the Saiyan itself, and has nothing to do with the system. It cannot be broken into 2 parts by him. Just like he had defeated so many strong men before, the combat power gained did not consume his potential. Today's potential value, gold, also comes from the system. Each potential value point is independent, and this bug can really be realized. This means that, as long as he accumulates enough golden potential points, His combat effectiveness can truly increase exponentially. Simply outrageous. Cool. Goku calmed down, took a breath, and calmed down. His eyes gradually became firmer. This golden potential is his trump card and must not be used easily. He has even made plans, and even Majin Buu cannot use it easily. At present, it seems that it can only be obtained by defeating some strong men above Frieza's level. It is really not easy to obtain. Even though Cell and Majin Buu are very powerful, they are only within the limit of Saiyan strength. He can rely on training and exploring his own potential to compete with them. But when it comes to the field of gods, things are a bit stretched. The abyss-like gap can no longer be bridged by Saiyan blood, and more is needed. But with this special trump card, Goku doesn't believe he can't make up for this gap. He has no hostility toward the god of destruction, but he also has no favorable impressions. The only problem is that the god of destruction can decide his own life and death according to his own joy and anger. This is unacceptable to Goku, so he must have the power to control his destiny. Does the food not taste good? You eat so little. A pair of soft and slender hands stretched out from behind and hugged Goku's waist. Goku turned around and hugged Bulma, smiling. Didn't you say it was bad after eating too much at night? When did I say that? Bulma blinked. At this time, Bulma had long blue hair disheveled, blinked, and did not wear makeup. Her big eyes were sparkling, and her skin was fair and delicate. Goku smiled when he heard this. Bulma probably said this accidentally before. He couldn't remember when it was, he just had an impression. Now he is a head taller than Bulma, and his eyes are facing each other. It seems that he feels something, and Bulma's eyes gradually soften. Goku exerted a little force, and Bulma's body was picked up, and his hands naturally wrapped around his neck. Just as the two were making out, a meteor streaked across the sky above the earth and fell down. Oh, I didn't expect there would be a shooting star today. Gohan and Dend were playing together when they suddenly saw a shooting star and said to Dend, make a wish on the shooting star. It is said that it will come true. Huh? Really? Are meteors and dragons the same? Dend was very surprised, and the other Namekians were also very shocked. Well, Namek seems to be more honest. Hahaha, it's fake. How is that possible? Clint hurriedly walked over to explain. Dr. Briff was smoking a cigarette and walked up to Gohan. Gohan, do you have any wishes? Grandpa can help you realize it. That is to say, it's true. Goku. Gohan didn't even celebrate his 6th birthday properly. Mom, are you going too far? Goku has worked very hard too. Bulma came over holding Goku's hand at this time and was very dissatisfied with her mother's words. She could completely feel the pressure Goku was facing and knew Goku best, so she naturally protected her husband. Oh, Mrs. Breve was naturally just talking. Seeing the closeness between the two, she also hugged Dr. Breve and said, husband. Hahaha. Everyone burst into laughter when they saw this, but Bulma turned red with anger. Apparently she was still too immature when facing these two old naughty boys. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. The Door to the Devil World opens. About halfway through the celebration party, the Namekians were not very active at night, and everyone else dispersed. Goku stopped Klin, who was about to fly away, and said, remember to ask teacher Wushin for me. I will take Gohan over to visit him in the next few days. Oh. Krillin raised his hand and gestured, then flew high into the sky. Bye-bye then, Goku and Gohan. Goku also waved, and Gohan, who was standing next to Goku, raised his head and looked at him hesitantly. Goku smiled when he saw this, raised his hand, and rubbed Gohan's head and said, okay, you can go find Dend and Piccolo, but remember to rest early, otherwise your mother will be angry. Gohan immediately smiled and nodded vigorously. Yeah, then he ran away happily. There was a building behind Brive's house. It was originally Brive's private research institute. However, his research basically didn't need anyone's help, so most of them were idle rooms. Now let's leave that room for the time being. The Mikians live there. In fact, it doesn't matter, even if there is no such place. With the financial resources of Magnum Capsule, it is easy to find a place that can accommodate hundreds of people. Goku, Goku turned his head and was a little surprised to see Shishi coming. Shishi rarely came to him alone except for the Gu family, unless he came to ask him about Gohan. Shishi, what's the matter? He has long, straight black hair, and his facial features are not as delicate as Bulma's, but they are very attractive, and the traditional martial arts uniform has a unique charm. Your martial arts uniform is torn. I made this one again. Goku blinked, looked at the orange martial arts uniform that Shishi took out from behind, smiled, reached out to take it, and then reached out to take Shishi into his arms. Thank you, Goku. What did you do? Shishi was like a quail, struggling uncomfortably in Goku's arms, and looking around anxiously, but finally snuggled into his arms. Shishi is more traditional, so often if Goku doesn't take the initiative to reveal something, she won't pursue emotional giving. In the original work, Goku left Shishi with nothing but a lot of trouble and blows, and only a dull life for 10 years without any emotional communication at all, like a pool of stagnant water. A night of silence. The next day, while Goku and others were having breakfast, Mrs. Brave walked in with someone. Dang dang dang, everyone. Look who's here. Oh, isn't this Tavis? It's been a long time since she came back. Dr. Breve was reading the newspaper. When he looked up, he saw Tacy walking in with Mrs. Breve. Bulma stood up happily and hugged Tacy. Why are you back? What? Can't I come back? No. Bulma feigned anger. Tacy, Goku and others also said hello, and then when passing by Gohan, she gave him a small box. Gohan, this is a gift for you. Thanks. Then Goku saw that Tacy was in trouble, so he asked Gohan to take the gift to play with. After a while, only Bulma and Goku were left, and Tacy also told the reason for her return this time. Cool. Tacy drank some water and began to explain. The Galaxy Patrol detected a powerful alien force coming to Earth. I couldn't contact you, so I asked Jack to send me back. What happened? The guy's universe spacecraft crashed and broke, and I asked him to bring it to Dad to repair it, but he refused. Alien. Bulma was a little surprised, but then he waved his hand very easily and said, no problem. Goku is so powerful now, even that Frieza was killed by him. Hey? Frieza? Tacy was a little surprised. She had some contact with the Galaxy Patrol because of Gak, so knowing Frieza's existence was nothing. She often travels to alien planets to collect data and write novels, in which one of the protagonists is Jack. Gak is a member of the Galaxy Patrol. It is a coincidence that he was originally sent by the Galaxy Patrol to investigate Goku. Because Frieza's Legion is too powerful and the relationship behind it is very complicated, it is difficult for many gods to take action. Most members of the Galaxy Patrol can't even offend former Saiyans, so it is naturally impossible to confront them head on. However, the Galactic Patrol still has the mission of maintaining the balance of the 7th universe, and is commanded by the Galaxy King. Also, because the reputation of Saiyans is really bad, Gak's mission is actually to come to Earth and be ordered to eliminate the evil Saiyans. That is, little Goku. But Jack is also an unlucky guy. His universe spaceship crashed the chimney when it landed on the Earth. As a result, he ran into Dr. Dashing and then met Tacy. The three of them were half-assed, a galactic patrolman and an engineering student. Doctor, a travel novelist. The three people made a lot of trouble trying to repair Jack's universe spaceship, but in the end it was easily repaired by Bulma, who was only 5 years old. Since then, Tacy and Jack have become good friends. They often keep in touch and occasionally use the universe spacecraft to go to alien planets to collect inspiration for writing and other things. They have a good relationship. It is worth mentioning that Jack also missed the time when little Goku landed on the Earth because of this accident. This story can be regarded as a prequel to Dragon Ball. If Gak wasn't a cheat, maybe Goku's fate would have changed. So Goku's fate has actually been affected by the Bulma family since then. Goku did not relax immediately, but asked, Tace, do you know the name of that alien? Well, Tacy put her finger to her mouth and thought for a moment, then said, it seems to be a guy named Dales. I heard that Gak tenders evil in the universe, but there seems to be no good solution. It seems quite difficult." Noticing that something was wrong with Goku's expression, Bulma asked doubtfully, "Goku, is that guy very powerful?" "Maybe. I'm not sure, but I should be able to solve it. I just don't know when they will arrive." Goku shook his head, but he was really not very worried. Based on his speculation about Dale's, the combat power should be in the million level, and even if it was outrageous, it would not reach hundreds of millions otherwise. Frieza's position as the Emperor of the Universe would not be so secure. Although Dale's and Goku are half-brothers, their personalities are completely opposite. He has the ambition to rule the entire universe. At the same time, a black terrifying energy gradually spread on the surface of the Earth point at the end of this power. Inside the gate of the demon world, a figure gradually walked out of it, followed closely by several behemoths. The terrifying demonic energy spread to the celestial temple in an instant, and then to the KO planet. Oops. Goku. King K usually doesn't sit around observing. After all, the 7th universe is too big point, but Goku and others have just solved Frieza. Now that King K is in a good mood, he will naturally pay more attention to the universe near the Earth. For him, the northern galaxy is like a huge sandbox point. Every living planet is exuding vitality. He couldn't observe it properly when Frieza was here. Now that Goku is here, the Earth will naturally become a shining golden SSR in his eyes, but he can't take a look every other day. What? It's okay not to look at it, but he was almost scared to death when he looked at it. Point, where did so much demonic energy come from? Has the door to the demon world been opened? Chapter 93 Demon Stars, Krogo. Kale-sama, I have sensed it, and I will solve this matter. Can you help me find out when Dares will arrive on Earth? Goku had already discovered the terrifying evil aura in the direction of the Demon Realm Gate before he received the KO's message. Point, not only Goku, but countless martial arts masters on the entire Earth also felt it, and they all felt like they were facing a powerful enemy. Point, only then did he remember that there was one more thing he had forgotten: the Devil World, the Devil Cultivator. Goku had seen monsters with unfathomable strength before, but at that time, with hundreds of thousands of fighting power, Goku was not even sure of fighting with the opponent, so he could only force it back with a sneak attack, and then destroyed the universe. The spaceship escaped directly. Point, if not, he might have been left in the demon world. Dale's. King K felt it with the antenna on his head, and quickly understood the cause and effect, as well as the location of Dale's, and exclaimed, "Oh, this guy is even more evil. He is actually the legendary Evil One. Saiyan. Goku, something bad is going to happen." Evil Saiyan? What is that? Goku didn't know why. Could he be stronger than Frieza? Goku has never heard of this name. Even though he has a lot of information about the Dragon Ball series in his memory, the Z series has been very vague since then. Point, so he had no idea what this so-called Evil Saiyan was. King K hurriedly explained, "It is a terrifying monster, a variant of Saiyan, with extremely evil power. If he is allowed to grow up, all Saiyans will be affected by him and turn into monsters. Goku, you have to be careful. He should arrive on Earth in half a year." After saying that, King K was in a circle again, and that guy from the demon realm is as strong as a monster. Goku, how come there is a gate to the demon realm on Earth? This is a big event. No problem, KO-sama, I will handle this matter. Goku was worried that King K might as well go directly to the Great KO planet to find some masters to get rid of the demon cultivators, and said directly, "Point, the key of the demon cultivator can bring him a threat, but it is not to the point where he cannot fight against it. He will not let go of this opportunity. It is not easy to find an existence with a combat power of hundreds of millions. Goku, you can't be careless." "I understand, KO-sama. Well, go ahead." Goku nodded, then suddenly thought of something, and said to the KO, "KO-sama, should you be able to gather your energy now, King?" K was a little confused, and didn't know what Goku was going to do, but he was very happy to hear that Goku planned to use his own special move. Point, Kaioken showed great power when he fought against Frieza, and he was also proud of it. "Okay. Point, it's okay. How about it? Have you finally figured it out? My vitality bomb is very powerful. Well, I would like to ask Lord Ka to help me gather my energy." It's best to gather some of the energy from all the surrounding planets. Please, okay, leave it to me. Goku raised his hands to the sky and began to gather vitality. This action was necessary for the vitality bomb. After all, the vitality bomb was not emitted directly from his body, but had to borrow the vital energy of all things in the world, which was very restrictive. Gradually, as chaos thoughts were sent out, a large amount of energy on the earth began to gather in the direction of Goku. There were only some mountains, rivers, and trees, and the living creatures basically did not contribute vitality, but even so it was already very huge. And then the vitality of several surrounding living planets began to gather. A huge ball of blue light, several meters in diameter, began to gather above Goku's head. While Goku was collecting energy, Piccolo and others, who had noticed it, rushed over because the door to the demon world was wide open. Saiyan, Jinfan and others rushed to the scene one after another. As soon as they arrived, they found that the entire area had been occupied by demons. A towering demon castle stood near the gate of the demon world. They tried to get close and solved many demons, but soon he was defeated by a strong demon who suddenly appeared. Earthlings, how about we have a bet? If you win, I will let you pass. Hey hey hey, a figure dressed as a clown appeared in front of everyone, and with just one blow, Saiyan Jinfan, who was traveling with him, was seriously injured. Tenjin Rice, Yamcha, and Gyoza, who have gone to KO to train, each have their own gains. Although not as big as Krillin, they have reached a combat power of several thousand. When Kaioken is turned on, the combat power reaches tens of thousands, but they were still solved with one blow. Klin and others did not dare to act rashly and were anxious. Damn it. Yamcha's fists trembled. Klin glanced at Dumpling, who was taking care of Saiyan Jin Rice in the back, and said, Dumpling, you go find Goku and the others. These guys are not something we can deal with. Go quickly. Dumpling. Tuck Saiyan Jinfan, who had lost his fighting power and was about to leave. However, when he flew high into the sky, he found that his surroundings were blocked by an invisible barrier. He bumped into it, making him dizzy, and fell down. Dumpling. What is this? Krillin and Yamcha were shocked. Hey. He. Seeing this, Krogo kept making weird laughs, jumping up and down with strange dance steps, and said, this is my territory, and you can't get out if you don't play with me. Hateful. Helplessly, the two could only start the game according to each other's rules. The game is actually very simple, just guessing coins, but the price of failure is huge. That is, the strength of several people will be taken away. This is the ability of Krogo, one of the 3 magic stars. Of course, if he loses, the power will immediately be obtained by the winner. It can be said to be a very beefy and dangerous ability. Unfortunately, Klin and others all failed at this level, which was quite miserable. Not long after, Piccolo and Gohan also came here and entered Krogo's domain. Piccolo, Gohan, Klin, and others lost several games in a row. At this time, they all collapsed on the ground weakly. Their breath was extremely weak, and even Saiyan Jinfan's breath was being strangely pulled out of his body. Hey. He. Krogo enjoyed the anger of several people and let out a harsh laugh. When he saw 2 more people coming, a slight trace of sweat shed on his face. His ability was not actually fair, but only fair on the surface. Therefore, in order to ensure that he can win, his field will automatically monitor the strength of the person entering. Just like now, the moment he saw Piccolo, he felt very uneasy because he realized that Piccolo was stronger than him, but very excited at the same time. Such a strong power. If you can get this power, with a trace of greed in his eyes. Krogo explained his rules, and then threw out a coin, with the words of the demons engraved on one side and his head on the other side. Gohan was about to step forward to test it, but was stopped by Piccolo, who stepped forward to face Krogo directly, stretched out his hand and said, do you mind if I throw it? Hehehe. The expression on Krogo's face was like a clown mask, never changing, but after hearing this, he still put the coin in Piccolo's hand. Chapter 91, Fruit of the Spiritual Tree. Bite. As Piccolo flicked the coin into the air, the rapidly flipping coin turned into an afterimage. The ordinary naked eye could not see the pattern at all, let alone predict which side would fall. But what are the strengths of Piccolo and Krogo? Naturally, we can see clearly. This so-called bet was just a different kind of competition. As the coin fell, under Gohan's nervous gaze, a lid appeared out of thin air to block the coin point through the gap. Gohan clearly saw that the letter was facing up. Hehe, you go first, Krogo said very generously. At this time, Piccolo slapped the container to pieces and said at the same time, I guess it's the front. Then, he didn't give Krogo a chance to reveal the coin point, but the result is the opposite. Hey, quiet. The air seemed to be still, and Gohan was shocked. How could it be? You lost? Krogo let out a triumphant laugh and reached out to grab the coin in Piccolo's hand point. However, Piccolo did not hand it over to him. Instead, he fired red light from his eyes and destroyed the coin. You, what are you doing? Krogo was shocked. As the coin was shattered, Forky flew out of his body and poured into Klin and others. Piccolo casually threw the coin to the ground and said expressionlessly, such a trick, huh, damn it, Sine. When Krogo saw the essence of his ability exposed, he suddenly got angry and punched Piccolo directly. The combat power was as high as over 100,000, but facing Piccolo's current combat power of 1.5 million, he really can't see enough. He was easily defeated by Piccolo, and the barrier disappeared. The group of people then walked deeper. Along the way, Krillin asked Piccolo, where is Goku? He should be at Bulma's house. Goku is making preparations. We came first because we were worried. Our opponent this time is not easy. As soon as they finished speaking, several people had already arrived outside the castle, where a huge black dragon was guarding. When the few people approached, the huge black dragon slowly opened its eyes. Careful. Piccolo blocked Gohan behind him, his expression a little solemn. The monster in front of him gave him a very strong feeling. Very strong. And the giant dragon is the leader of the 3 demon stars that Goku once encountered. The demon dragon. But the aura at this moment is dozens of times more terrifying than before. Slowly getting up, the demon dragon looked down at the people in front of him in a half-dragon posture and said with some disdain, TSK, what, a few ants? Go find that Saiyan and come over. The demon cultivator doesn't have time to play with you. Me neither, really? Piccolo casually took off his hat and cloak, which was a sign that he was ready to fight with all his strength, and then said to the others, Gohan, please step aside. I will take care of it here, Uncle Piccolo. Although Gohan was a little reluctant, his potential had not yet been tapped, and he was not enough to participate in this battle. Piccolo, be careful, Klin said something, and then several people retreated to watch the battle from a distance. The war is about to break out. Swish. Boom. Both sides are not weak, especially the dragon. After sensing Piccolo's strength, he seemed to have a fighting spirit and got into a fierce fight. Compared with the 160,000 combat power when I saw Goku last time, he seems to have undergone earth-shaking changes. He is not at a disadvantage against the current Piccolo. No, it should be said that he has a considerable advantage. Piccolo's attacks fell on him, except for the killing move like the demon penetrating light killing cannon, which was almost painless. The most terrifying thing about the demon dragon is that, even though it is huge, its speed and strength are extremely terrifying. Goku once fought with Kaioken and could not gain any advantage. After a fierce battle for a long time, Piccolo seized the opportunity to use the demonic light killing cannon to severely damage the dragon, but was swallowed directly by the dragon. Then the dragon opened its mouth, and a black energy swept in like a tidal wave. The situation reversed in an instant, putting Piccolo in danger. Uncle Piccolo. Gohan wanted to rush forward in desperation, but at this moment, a hand grabbed him back. Swish. Boom. Goku appeared in front of him, and a Kigen wave offset the dragon's killing move, saving Piccolo. Ho. It's you. The demonic dragon was shocked, and then decisively retreated. A pair of dragon eyes stared at Goku's figure, very fearful, sweating profusely, but did not take action. Goku looked at the demon dragon in surprise. How did this guy practice? If he remembered correctly before, this guy should have a combat power of 160,000, but now he can suppress Piccolo. His combat power must be at least 2 million, right? But he didn't care. He was much stronger, but it was still not enough in front of Goku today. Goku smiled, raised a hand, and waved in the direction of the dragon. The Next moment, the figure of the demon dragon seemed to be trapped by an invisible big hand, and it was pulled directly towards Goku. The golden light flashed, and the golden flame swirled around his fist. Goku punched the stunned demon dragon hard on the head. Boom. Bang. With one blow, the dragon's head was deeply embedded in the ground. Its wings trembled slightly, and then collapsed. The ground shook violently, and fell into dead silence. Phew. Goku waved his hand. This dragon's defense was really not good. Even if his power could knock it out, it still hurt the back of his hand. Ding. Defeat the demon dragon, increase your energy, and gain 2.3 million combat power, counting his own 8.65 million, that's 10.95 million combat power, very rewarding. Goku has always thought that the same target can only refresh its combat power once, but now it seems that this is not the case. As long as the combat power increases span enough, it seems that it can be refreshed, or does it need to be separated by a certain period of time? Forget it, let Piccolo come back and practice. Piccolo, okay, this is how you play, right? Immediately, before Goku could walk towards the towering huge castle, the gate of the castle slowly opened. A figure walked out of it, wearing black skin, and looking the same as a human being. The only difference was probably the skull eyes and the horn on the forehead. To prove the identity of the demon, next to him was a stooped figure covered in black robes. He didn't look like a combatant, and Goku didn't feel too strong. Bang, bang, clapping his hands, the demon cultivator looked at Goku with admiration and said, Saiyan, this is the second time you have surprised me. I'm very optimistic about you. How about you? Cooperate with me. Cooperation? Goku narrowed his eyes. He could feel the terrifying ki in the opponent's body. The demons themselves rarely hide their own power. This demon cultivator is considered a stranger, but the ki is still difficult to conceal. However, the other party's reaction at this moment made him a little surprised. You must know that, even if you can sense ki, this method cannot be used as a basis for judging the strength of Saiyans who can transform. There is no other reason. Goku's normal combat power is only 10.95 million, but after transformation, he can directly exceed 500 million. The span is too big. On the surface, the opponent's hidden power is at least over 100 million units. Goku thought that the opponent was here to fight, but he didn't expect that he would say cooperation. Even so, Goku pondered for a moment and said, what kind of cooperation method? In other words, what can I get? Strength? The demon cultivator's answer was very concise. He raised his hand, and the rickety figure on the side stepped forward. What emerged from under the black robe was an old face full of wrinkles, like a dead tree. He then stretched out his hand, with an extra palm. A fruit exuding a dark aura, explained. This is a spiritual tree fruit unique to the demon world. It can double your strength and break through the shackles of Saiyan blood. Really? Goku's eyes narrowed. He didn't think anything good would happen if he ate this. The magic cultivator did not force it, but looked at Goku and continued. I once gave a Saiyan like you, and he successfully surpassed the upper limit of Saiyan. Your talent is stronger than him. Maybe you can bring me some success. Come for a surprise. Let's talk about your cooperation. Goku could only refuse at this time. There must be something wrong with this weird spirit tree fruit. How about you help me sow more spiritual trees on various living planets? In exchange, after collecting all the spiritual tree fruits, I will only need half, and the rest will be yours. The magic cultivator saw that Goku was not moved, but he continued to seduce. The ordinary spirit tree fruit does not improve that much, but it can be transformed into the fruit of evil by mag, and the effect has increased 10 times. I think we can go to the demon realm to talk. Goku glanced at the demon realm gate behind him. The demon cultivator didn't know what method he used, but he directly regarded the demon realm gate as the gate of the castle, and built this castle. But that doesn't matter. Now he just wants to drag the other party into the devil world, and get rid of it. Cooperation is the most troublesome thing, and isn't this the thing that lets him go to Ganders? He also roughly guessed the effect of the evil fruit. After eating it, he should indeed be able to break through the upper limit of Saiyans, but he would also become like Tails. Are you kidding me? Not to mention the shortcomings of the evil Saiyans. But one thing is that, if this thing passed through Namage's hands, He would not believe it if he said that it did not leave any hidden dangers. I'm afraid Nadales is just a pawn of the demon cultivator. Chapter 92 King of Case Tactics. Goku. Goku looked back at everyone, signaled Piccolo to take care of the others here, and then followed the demon cultivator into the gate of the demon world. Everyone looked worried, but Piccolo stopped them all. Demon world. Sure, the existence of the demon cultivator in the demon world is almost equal to that of Frieza, and even exceeds that of Frieza. He has gathered a large number of demon subordinates. At this moment, Mirror and others have already been controlled by his subordinates. The large number of demons around them all seemed to have high combat effectiveness, and their quality was even higher than that of Frieza's legion. Not to mention the magic dragon. Even if it is self-reliant, it is enough to run rampant in the universe. Even the Mago next to Moxie should be a magician-like existence. But as one of the 3 magic stars, I'm afraid it's not simple, and his strength is at least above that of the Jinyu Special Forces. After Goku entered the demon world, he saw these demon armies. He secretly estimated that, if he eliminated them all, he would be able to increase his combat power by at least 1 million, right? But at this moment, the demon cultivator who had been calm suddenly launched an attack on him without warning. Swish. Bang, the powerful and heavy attack collided with Goku's fist, and waves of air and energy turned into impacts, expanding and spreading from the two of them, directly forcing a large number of demons back. Mago was shocked and jumped away. Oh, there was a deep black light around the pupils of the demon cultivator's eyes, and his aura was filled with a dark aura full of malice, which made Goku very uncomfortable. A black aura unexpectedly spread over his arm. Goku's mind was affected, and he directly entered the Super Saiyan state. He forced the demon cultivator back with one punch, and then directly pushed out with both hands, instantly launching the turtle-style kicking. Boom. The surface of Shurestar seemed to have been wiped away, and huge ravines extended out, raising the entire Shura city to the ground. The demons who were unable to dodge died one after another, and even half of their bodies were directly destroyed. They were too dead to die. Mirror and Moro were trapped in Shura City at this time, and this attack almost flew over their heads. The 2 people who escaped were also in shock, and hurried away from the scene. Sure enough, is this the Super Saiyan? The figure of the demon cultivator appeared in the void surrounded by a strange smoke-like black air. Goku released the Super Saiyan transformation, and was not surprised. The opponent's power would be partially restricted outside the demon world, but it was reversed. After entering the demon world. The power of the demon cultivator has reached its peak, but Goku's energy will be greatly affected. So, when Goku proposed to enter the demon world, he was playing into the demon cultivator's hands. The former did not want to destroy the earth, while the latter wanted to take the initiative. Goku raised his hand, and the martial arts uniform with the word enlightenment on the chest automatically moved without wind under the influence of the terrible aura around him. With a faint smile on his face, there is no need to talk too much. Either get out now, or stay here forever. Here it is. Hehe. The demon cultivator didn't speak, just showed a cold smile. Click. At this point, there was only one battle between the 2 sides. The whole body of the demon cultivator began to change. From his original appearance, that was close to human beings, he gradually became closer to demons. His skin became scarlet, and at the same time it also swelled a bit, and there was a handful of blood-colored weapons in his hands. The long sword and the cloak behind him also changed, turning into a layer of black tattoos engraved on the surface of the body. The black arrogance rose and condensed, and the aura also climbed to its peak. Goku's eyes narrowed slightly. His judgment was correct. The combat power of the demon cultivator exceeded 10 million levels and far stronger than Frieza. In just a short moment, the demon cultivator's energy had even surpassed his exclamation point. 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, 0.900 million, TSK. Goku's expression gradually became serious, but with 900 million combat power, he was still quite sure that he could solve it. Even though this was the demon world, the demon cultivator's preparations did not end there. A spirit exuding a dark aura appeared in his hand. The tree fruit is different from the previous fruit. The spirit tree fruit that Margot took out before was still red overall, with the surface covered with red particles in its normal form, but exuding a dark aura. But the one in front of me is like a heart, beating regularly, which is extremely weird. The demon cultivator directly ate the fruit of the spirit tree, and in an instant, his energy surged to another level! 1.3 billion. Goku took a deep breath. This was his judgment, based on his sense of ki, and the pressure increased sharply. Whoosh. Boom. As if to retaliate for his attack just now, the moment the demonic cultivator's strength reached its peak, he rushed over without hesitation. With one blow, the red light tore the world apart, and the surface of Shuristar was divided into pieces. Goku's pupils shrank, a corner of his martial arts uniform was torn open, and a few strands of hair fell out, barely dodging the blow. Bang. Bang bang bang. The sword in the demon cultivator's hand is not simple. He didn't feel much energy gathering at all just now. He could cut through the planet with just a wave of his hand. The power of this thing is a bit terrifying. During the fierce fight, Goku gradually fell into a disadvantage. His combat power was 11.5 million. He had affected many demons with just one blow, and Goku's strength further increased. But even so, transforming into a Super Saiyan is only 570 million. Even if he is not in the demon world, it is extremely difficult for him to fight against the demon cultivator, and the chance of winning is almost 0.2 figures. One golden and one black were entangled with each other. After collision and pursuit, they quickly rushed out of Shuristar and came to the universe. The talent that emerged from Frieza came into play, otherwise Goku would not have been able to survive in the universe. Puff. Suddenly, the demon cultivator's speed increased dramatically, and Goku was seriously injured with one blow, and he fell into the deep space of the universe. Looking up, Goku's green eyes were cold. Laugh. After a burst of white light flashed all over his body, the golden arrogance doubled, and he rushed towards the demon cultivator again. Unlike before, where he was restrained and suppressed by the demon cultivator, this time his counterattack shocked the demon cultivator, and he began to suffer in a hurry. Bang bang bang. Boom. After another fierce fight, the two of them burst out a Kigen wave almost at the same time. Under the impact of the blue and black energy, the two of them stepped back from a distance and stared at each other. The demon cultivator's chest rose and fell slightly, but his breathing did not become scattered. He just looked at Goku with a little more fear in his eyes. Goku in the distance is similar, but his breathing is more scattered. Starting a war in the demon world is not very beneficial to him, but with the strength of the two people and the style of the demon cultivator, it is obviously impossible to deliberately avoid and protect the Earth. I'm afraid that before the two of them can decide the winner, the Earth will be over. Master. Demon cultivator. Mag and a group of demons flew to high altitude and looked at the battlefield. They were extremely shocked to be able to fight Master Demon Cultivator to such an extent. Who is that Saiyan? Master Demonic Cultivator will definitely win. Goku calmed down his breathing, but his heart was bleeding. The strength of this demon cultivator exceeded his expectations. He thought that, even if it was a level stronger than Frieza, he would have some confidence, but he did not expect that it would be so much stronger. This forced him to consume a bit of golden potential, which directly doubled his basic combat power. Now his combat power is 23 million. After transformation, it is as high as 1.15 billion. Still not as good as a demon cultivator, but at least he can fight. But it's still not that simple to win. You need to look for opportunities. Boom. The battle between the two sides broke out again. A layer of red light suddenly appeared on Goku's body without warning. With one blow, the unprepared demon cultivator was slammed into the depths of the universe and into a dead planet. Kaioken. Chapter 93. The demonic world's favor. Dark control. The biggest reason why Goku dared to come to the demon world alone when he was not sure about the strength of the demon cultivator was naturally the system, but this was something at the bottom of the box, and he did not intend to use the golden potential point, but the magic cultivator came too suddenly, so he had to make temporary changes originally, according to his expectations. Even if the demonic cultivator had a combat power of close to 1 billion, he was still certain that he could compete with it. If he failed, he would definitely be able to escape and save the Earth without any problem. And the source of his confidence is Kaioken. He discovered this technique when fighting Frieza. Kaioken is a completely unlimited, pure explosive method. Naturally, it is impossible to use it directly. Super Saiyan will already consume a lot of energy before reaching full power. If you include Kaioken, Goku won't be able to fight for long. Therefore, Goku increased his Kaioken training and became more skillful in controlling it. He was able to explode in a very short period of time and retract and release freely. In this way, it not only avoids the huge consumption and load of Kaioken, but also achieves the effect of increasing strength. Ideally, Goku's idea is to explode his energy at the moment of attack, achieving the effect of increasing his combat power by up to 100 times. He called this fighting method, KO fighting method, of course. It is said to be an ideal state because he is far from reaching that point and there is still a lot of room for growth. But he has also been able to superimpose an additional 10 to 15 times Kaioken burst in addition to the Super Saiyan transformation. Although it is only for a moment, it is enough. Even this kind of sudden ultra high burst makes it easier to win by surprise, making it impossible for even magicians and defenses to guard against it. Boom. Bang bang bang. After several heavy blows in succession, the demon cultivator began to vomit blood and was a little unconscious after being beaten. Naturally, Goku will not miss this opportunity. He knows his own affairs. His KO fighting method is immature, so the huge consumption of physical strength cannot be avoided. The essence of this fighting method is to win quickly, can't drag. Raw. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and Goku's fist was surrounded by golden light, directly superimposing Kaioken to 15 times in an instant, and at the same time, there was a 50-fold increase of Super Saiyan. At this moment, Goku's combat power is 1.495 billion, the strongest blow, a wave that penetrates the world, a terrifying huge phantom seemed to appear behind him, but this phantom was no longer the giant ape, but Goku himself. The fist shrouded in golden light exuded earth-shattering terrifying power and landed on the demon cultivator. Ugh. Poo-ha. The demon cultivator's eyes widened and the terrifying dark aura all over his body was radiating crazily from his body at this moment. Black lightning flashed crazily as if a stronger power was about to be released from his body. What's even more terrifying is that this weird black energy actually blocked Goku's peak attack. Goku was also slightly startled, gritted his teeth, and endured the huge pain of nearly tearing his body, and was about to activate a higher magnification Kaioken point. But at this moment, a layer of strange blue luster suddenly appeared on the surface of his body, which adhered to the surface of his body without spreading. Is this vitality? Goku was a little surprised. The pressure in his body was relieved, and an even more surprising scene appeared. I saw that the strange black energy on the demon cultivator was melting under the attachment of vitality. How could Goku let go of this good opportunity? With a full blow, the golden flames turned into a golden dragon. Dragon fist. Raw. The golden divine dragon penetrated the body of the demon cultivator, and at the same time, penetrated and entangled the Death Star as the battlefield, like a golden divine dragon manifesting above. This move is Goku's truly strongest single target killing move. Ha. Ha. On a fragment of a broken planet. Due to too much physical loss, Goku has passively released the Super Saiyan state, and the blue light on his body has dissipated, and the vitality he has accumulated for a long time seems to be released with this move. What Goku didn't notice was that a blue energy had quietly integrated into his body. Ding. Kill the demon cultivator and get potential value, gold, +1, ding. Kill the demon cultivator and gain potential value +3, ding. Kill the demon cultivator and get the skill, favor of the demon realm. The golden potential value is only 1 point. Goku frowned and then calmed down, just 1 point. He guessed that this should be related to Frieza's strength and potential. The strength of this demonic cultivator is not weak, but thanks largely to the weird spirit tree fruit, its potential has probably been reached long ago. Thinking of this, Goku suddenly felt that the reward for Nadales might not be too much, and his expectations plummeted. Dales, am I a human being? Am I a human being? There are still 3 potential points, which is quite good. Since the battle with Frieza, Goku has also been a little entangled. After the potential value was lost, he didn't know how long it would take to recover. It was an unexpected surprise point. It's also interesting that the favor of the demon world is that Goku can exert all his strength in the demon world without being suppressed. Although it is not obvious, this kind of suppression does exist. Otherwise, with his crazy explosion of nearly 1.5 billion combat power, and even using the Dragon Fist for the first time, he was not able to kill instantly without any suspense. It can be seen that this suppression has how big. Dragon Fist is a super kill that can kill enemies across levels. It's a level stronger than Super Turtle Kigen or anything like that. Overall, this trip was quite fruitful. Returning to Star Shura, Goku unexpectedly found that Mora and Mira had already eliminated the remaining men of MOXIU, except for Mag, who was killed directly by Goku. Ding. Kill the Black Magician Mag, gain energy, and increase your ki by 500,000. Ding. Kill the Black Magician Mag, and get the skill, Dark Control. Dark Control? Goku was a little surprised. After a brief understanding, he felt a little chilly. Isn't this the skill that Babidi uses to control Vegeta? In short, it's useless. First of all, a condition must be met. That is, the target must have a potentially evil heart, and then the power must be weakened to the limit before there is an opportunity to take advantage of it. As for stimulating stronger power, this is somewhat similar to the effect of eating the evil fruit. Etc. Goku suddenly thought of Nadalise and the demon cultivator. Could this so-called fruit of evil be used by Mag to secretly corrupt and control them? Hiss. The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. Goku suddenly felt that these black magicians in the demon world were the most terrifying. If he remembered correctly, even the king of the demon world, Dabra, was directly controlled by Babidi and turned into a dog. Although he lost to Gohan, you must know that even in the human world, Dabra suppressed Gohan for a time. It was not until he was awakened that he forcibly transformed to regain the power of Super Saiyan 2, and Dabura was severely injured in one fell swoop. This is enough to show that if Dabura was in the demon world, conservatively it should be comparable to Super Saiyan 2 in strength. Even this kind of existence can be controlled, which shows that there is indeed something in this black magic. Of course, Goku still wasn't going to use this move, but he was quite concerned about the passive effect of this move. That means people who know how to do this are immune to almost all black magic. It should be regarded as a level of suppression. This dark control is already one of the highest levels of black magic, so most of the black magic below it will have no effect on Goku. For example, the same type of mental control magic, or Majin Buu use magic that turns people into chocolate, etc. These are all within the scope of immunity. Chapter 94 Satan gives cats headaches. The effect of dark control is weak, but the passive effect is still quite powerful, avoiding many hidden dangers, and Goku is very satisfied with it. Sir, what should we do with the demon cultivator's army? Seeing that Goku was about to leave the demon world, Mira suddenly asked. Mora was also on the side. Their strength was limited, and they were controlled by the demon cultivators immediately. It was good luck that they did not die directly. Hearing this, Goku turned to look at Mira. He noticed the flash of look in the latter's eyes and immediately understood what she meant. Mira was originally a demon who assisted Asura. She has always been on the Asura planet, but she is very knowledgeable about the entire demon world and is an ambitious woman. But it's a pity that Goku didn't want to develop any power. He glanced at her, then turned to Mora aside, and said with a hint of meaning, "You can figure it out for yourself. I'm not interested in these things. You can do it according to your ability." And that's it. Mira realized something, and lowered her head. Yes, Mora also nodded slightly, and said nothing. Compared to Mira, who is ambitious but lacks ability, Goku actually cares more about Mira, a scientist from the demon world. It seems like nothing on the surface, but it has only been a while, and the power in Mora's body seems to have improved by more than one level. This kind of improvement cannot be achieved by relying on talent or practice. The super scientists in the Dragon Ball world are themselves a group of monsters who break common sense and rules. I originally thought that Mora only had some talents, but not to the level of incredible talent. Now it seems that I still underestimate her, but Goku didn't say much. He was not interested in the demon realm. Even if Mora researched some terrifying existence, it would only be within the demon realm. He didn't care. The worst he could do was destroy the gate to the demon realm. Nowadays, ordinary demon warriors are no longer enough to provide Goku with much combat power, and existence with a combat power of over 100 million is hard to find. The existence of the demon gate has little significance. Watching Goku's figure disappear into the demon world, Mira stood there for a long time, her expression a little uncertain and a little unwilling. My Lord is not interested in the power of demon cultivators, but I didn't stop you either, Mora said suddenly from the side. This is Mira looked surprised when she saw the extra scarlet fruit in Mora's hand. Why do you have this? It's more than just this. Mora casually handed the fruit of the spirit tree to Mira, and with a calm smile, she approached behind Mira, raised her arms to wrap around her body, and said in an almost seductive tone, mixed with bubbles, I can let you with the power of demonic cultivators and even those that surpass demonic cultivators. As long as you obey me, nothing will be a problem, sir. Mira's pupils shrank, worried about Goku's presence, but suddenly she felt a stinging pain in her neck, and a line quickly spread from her neck to her face, and finally formed a strange line on her neck. Mira's expression changed drastically, but she soon calmed down. She turned around with a little anger in her eyes, took out the long whip, and swung it at Mira. Whoosh! Boom! The terrifying power shook the entire Shura star, causing large tracts of land to fall apart, and lava spewing out. Mira looked at her hands in disbelief. This power. Immediately, Mora, who was already in mid-air, suddenly disappeared and came to a higher void. Some of the monsters brought by the demon cultivator still survived. The demon dragon was afraid that Goku would come back and wanted to sneak in. But Mora noticed him, and when he raised his hand, an invisible force instantly wiped out all the demons around the demon dragon, leaving only the demon dragon. Ho! You are. He wanted to say something, but in the next moment, Mora just raised her hand on him, and the demon dragon was controlled, and his eyes changed, as if he had lost his soul. Goku didn't know what happened in the demon realm. After he left the gate of the demon realm, he was ready to take Gohan back. Saying goodbye to Saiyan, Jinfan and others, Goku prepared to take Gohan away. Let's go, Gohan. I'm with you too. Wait for me. Klin hurriedly chased after him. Goku first took Gohan to visit Turtle Sennin, and then went to the Celestial Temple to have a look. He found that the Celestial Temple was still deserted, and besides the Celestial God, Bobo was the only one here. No one climbed up. Goku frowned. Logically speaking, the center of Kallen Tower is the Temple of the Cat Immortal Point, although you can only rely on the wishful stick as a bridge to continue climbing further up. It is not impossible for no one to climb up point, as long as you pass the test of the Cat Immortal, gain recognition, and add a little perseverance. It shouldn't be a problem to climb up point. But the god shook his head and explained, in the past, those who climbed to the Celestial Temple had to go through many tests to become qualified to become a quasi-god. Goku, I originally planned for you to become the god of the earth. Then, forget it. Goku patted Gohan beside him and prepared to leave. He understood what the god said. If it was just to prevent the martial arts inheritance from disappearing, the level of Cat Immortal was actually enough to cultivate many outstanding martial arts masters. Turtle Immortal was one of the people who climbed up the Kallen Tower, but he was also not recognized by the Celestial Temple. After all, the conditions for becoming a god are too harsh. Not only the god, but also the souls of previous gods must be recognized. For example, today's gods, in order to gain recognition, directly separated their dark side and became the Piccolo Daimyo, and then gained recognition. Not surprised by Goku's answer, the god just nodded and watched Goku and his son leave. Goodbye. Bobo stood beside the god and waved. Phew. The figures of the two flew towards the lower part of the heavenly temple and soon arrived at the territory of the Cat Immortal. What an idiot. I'm so angry. Meow. As a result, as soon as they arrived here, Goku and little Gohan heard the angry voice of Nico Sento and looked over. At this time, in the Cat Immortal's house, Achilobe was sleeping soundly in the corner, and Yupa was also meditating with his eyes closed. Under the guidance of the Cat Immortal, as long as he worked hard, he would definitely become an outstanding martial artist. But at this time, a strange scene appeared. I saw a short strong young man with an afro holding the pillar on the edge of the temple and refusing to let go. He was crying, his nose and tears were flowing together, and he yelled, "Ah, please, Carlin Immortal, let me go down. I don't want to be a martial artist. I still have a wife and children." Wow. As he spoke, he burst into tears. Goku's eyelids jumped when he saw this scene, and the Nico Sento also had a similar expression. He was hopeless. Gohan tilted his head curiously and blinked, not understanding the situation at the scene. "Cat Immortal, long time no see." "Oh, it's Goku. Is Gohan here too?" Meow. Cat Immortal licked his paws and then threw 2 fairy beans to Gohan. "Take them as a meeting gift. Thank you, Nico Senin." Gohan put his hands together and bowed respectfully. "Well, the little devil is much more polite than your father back then. Not bad." The Cat Immortal nodded, very satisfied. He hadn't given advice to anyone for hundreds of years, and he was happy to be free. However, after Goku climbed up, he changed. First, there was an Akilobe who was too lazy to eat, and now more troublesome Satan appeared, which almost made him angry. "Half dead, Cat Senin, what is this?" Goku pointed at Satan, although he had almost guessed what was going on. Sure enough, the Cat Immortal told the story again. Probably Satan did climb up the Kalan Tower, but it turned out that this strange man came up after listening to the legends spread by others, thinking that by climbing up he would get the power given by the immortals. This is actually true. In the eyes of most martial arts masters who are stuck in a bottleneck, the guidance of the Cat Immortal is tantamount to a gift, opening up a new path for them. After all, what martial artists fear most in practice is not hardship, but the most painful thing is putting in so much effort and not seeing any progress or reward. But Satan, a weirdo, thought very simply. He thought he could just climb up and be done with it. The key was that he was using tricks. In fact, his strength did not reach the level recognized by the Cat Immortal. So, because he did climb up, and because he didn't want him to go down and embarrass himself, the Cat Immortal told Satan, 10 years, you have to practice here with me for 10 years, and then you can leave. In 10 years, Cat Immortal also had a headache. It took him 3 years to train Turtle Immortal well. If Satan's qualifications were not so bad, he would have just sent him away. So there was this scene in front of me. Chapter 95. Palunga reappears. Goku also shook his head, quite speechless, but Satan's personality is obviously like this, so he has no choice but to let the Cat Immortal slowly grind him down. Then Goku said hello to Yupa and Achilobe again, and left Kalinta directly, heading towards Baozi Mountain. Satan saw the 2 people flying away. His eyes widened with a ghostly expression. His nose started to flow again. He pointed outside blankly and said, Are they humans or ghosts? What? Will it fly? Idiot. That is Wukanshu, one of the abilities of a martial artist. Really? Martial arts masters can fly. When Satan heard this, he immediately became excited and jumped directly to the feet of the Cat Immortal. He raised his head and said sincerely, Please, Immortal, teach me how to fly in the sky. Meow. Watching this scene, the Cat Immortal suddenly came up with a way to train Satan. Although he didn't know how to dance in the sky, it was not difficult to learn this trick, as long as he completed his training point. If it doesn't work, just send a somersault cloud to Satan when the time comes. Ahem. It's easy to talk about. You complete my practice first, and then you can fly naturally, but you have to work very hard. Do you understand? Satan was dumbfounded, but at this point, he could only grit his teeth and hold on, otherwise the Cat Immortal would not let him go easily. Are you kidding me? If a guy like this goes off and talks nonsense about climbing the Kalan Tower, I'm afraid no one will challenge him in the future, right? The Cat Immortal wiped the sweat from the cat's head, feeling that there was still a long way to go. At Baozi Mountain, she came back here first. When Goku and Gohan came back, she had already cleaned the house and made dinner, a large table of sumptuous game and Baozi Mountain special ingredients, all delicious and delicious. She is initially the standard type of good wife and mother, who manages the household well, and Goku doesn't need to worry about anything at home. I'm back. Go wash your hands and come over to eat. The hot water will be there for a while. Dang dang dang. After dinner in a hurry, Goku took Gohan to a pond not far away. Baozi Mountain was not without electrical appliances, gas, etc. Bulma's research institute was at the foot of the mountain point. There is even a small power station, so there is no shortage of hot water. However, Goku felt that his home was too small for comfort, so he built a huge bathtub, which was cut from a towering tree. It was 9 meters in diameter. It was a bit exaggerated to use as a swimming pool, but it was not bad at all. It's just right to take a shower. Wow. Hiss. Goku was wearing shorts, soaking in a hot bath, and let out a sigh of relief. At this moment, a shadow jumped down from the sky. Goku opened his eyes and almost jumped in fright. Point with a pop, the shadow fell down and hit the bathtub directly, squeezing out most of the water in the basin. Goku wiped the water on his face and looked at the little dinosaur in front of him who kept having fun, having a great time with Gohan. Ha 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 ha, fast dragon. This is what Gohan found in the forest. Pet companion. Well, if he found it, it should be a spare ration. Gohan also gave it the name Fast Dragon because he flew very fast. It's a pity that it can't breathe fire, otherwise it would be called a fire-breathing dragon. Gohan. Shishi's stern voice sounded. Goku turned around with stiff eyes and saw Shishi holding a change of clothes, all wet and steaming. Spicy pills. More than 10 minutes later, Gohan and Velociraptor were punished to stand at the door. Velociraptor didn't know why. He was just a dinosaur. He looked at Gohan with his head down and was unhappy, and stuck out his tongue to lick it. Okay, Fast Dragon. Ha ha ha. In the room, Shishi wiped the water from his hair and complained to Goku. Gohan, this kid is getting more and more wild. You still have to study hard in the future. Did you hear that, Goku? HMM. Goku came over with Shishi's change of clothes. Shishi took off half of his clothes. Because they were wet, they clung to his body. Maybe it was because he already had Gohan, so even though he was 1 year younger than Goku, Shishi's figure is very plump. He also practices martial arts, so there is no excess part at all, and his skin is smooth and elastic. Goku, you are. Shishi realized something was wrong, and subconsciously turned slightly red. He tried to get the clothes in Goku's hand, but he hugged him and walked to the bathroom. It's all wet. Let's wash it off. Goku, wait a minute. I'll wash it myself. A few months later, the Earth's sky suddenly turned from day to night, and no stars could be seen, which was extremely strange. What's going on? How strange? Yes, I think I've seen this kind of thing before. In the metropolis, in the backyard of Bulma's house, a burly devil's muscular dragon was summoned. It's none other than the divine dragon of Namek, Balunga. It's really unbelievable that the dragon of Namek was able to make a wish in just 4 months, and it was only 3 wishes. Bulma looked at the huge dragon and sighed. It is indeed the original dragon. It is much more generous than the dragon on our Earth. Dragon, I also want to grant a few more wishes, but my strength doesn't allow it. Dend. Gohan, let's play together again, if we have a chance in the future. It is impossible for the Namekians to survive on the Earth forever. Although there is nothing wrong with it, most Namekians are kind-hearted in nature, and do not like to interact too much with the outside world. So after the destruction of Namek, they still have to find a new planet to continue living. The newly appointed Great Elder of Namek first used Shenron to find a planet similar to Namek, and then prepared to teleport everyone there. But before that, he walked up to Goku and others and looked at Piccolo beside him. Are you really not leaving with us? Well, Great Elder, Piccolo is much more stable than before. Maybe it's because of the fusion with Nilu, or maybe it's because he's facing his own tribe. Oh, well, then. The Great Elder looked at Bulma and asked, I have one more wish, just as a token of appreciation for taking us in during this period of time. Do you have any wishes? Why? Bulma was a little surprised. She didn't expect to get a wish point. After thinking for a while, Bulma didn't think of any good wishes, so he could only spread his hands and said, then let us all be healthy. This guy Goku always goes to fight, which makes people worry. Goku's expression changed slightly, and he explained to the elder that he didn't want to become immortal like the tragedy tower, only to lose the Saiyan passive point in the final analysis. Such things as wishes depend on the power of Shenlong, and Shenlong cannot violate the rules of the universe casually. Therefore, Vegeta's situation was purely caused by himself. If power was so easy to obtain, wouldn't it be better to just wish for the power of the God of Destruction? Haha. Goku once tried to use tricks to improve his bloodline potential, but Vegeta naively thought that he could gain strength by relying on his immortality point. But speaking of which, where did Vegeta go? It was only at this time that Goku remembered this, but he quickly ignored it. He had not seen Vegeta since leaving Namek. Logically speaking, even in order to relieve his immortality, the opponent should chase him to the earth. Just come. How strange. While Goku was thinking, a universe spaceship was coming to Earth. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, The Arrival of Vegeta and Tails. Host, Son Goku Bloodline, Saiyan, lower level warrior, age 23 key, combat power 23.5 million, 4/10, potential value, gold. 2 skills, Super Turtle style kicking, Kaioken, Vitality Bomb, Wukan technique, 10,000 Kingdoms shocking palm, dark control, superpowers, gravity control, 20 times gravity, soul exchange, telekinesis, universe survival, devil's favor at Bulma's house. Goku did not return to Baozi Mountain immediately. He doesn't have any sense of crisis now. But he will not completely relax because of this. He has not forgotten that there will be many enemies that will appear in the future. Not to mention androids 17 and 18. He is now confident that he can fight a dozen, but there is a more terrifying cell behind him. Not to mention monsters like Majin Buu. Goku's goal from beginning to end is the God of Destruction and even greater power. Even if it is just for his own safety and tranquility, he must have that power. It's better to plan ahead than to improvise. Goku looked at the potential value of 4 points and fell into deep thought. If he remembered correctly, he had no potential value when he came back from Namek. He was rewarded with 3 points after defeating the demon cultivator. Golden potential does not count. In other words, his potential value recovered by 1 point in a very short period of time. This is incredible based on his past experience. Even though he was in the growth stage in the past 5 years and practiced hard, he failed to reach his full potential. In the end, he still had to rely on the help of the Great Elder. Goku thought about the changes he felt when using the energy bomb, and had some guesses in his mind. Yuan Ki is not key, or it is not equal to key. This energy is very special. It is the special energy hidden in all living things. It is very huge. Don't look at the fact that the earth can be almost completely destroyed by beings with a combat power of 20,000 to 30,000. It is not impossible to directly smash the earth to pieces if it is higher, but if all the energy of the earth were converted into combat power in equal proportions and summed up in one earthling, Frieza might not be able to fight with one hand. This is not unfounded. The energy contained in the matter in the Dragon Ball world is beyond imagination, but this energy is bound by the rules of the universe into microscopic particles. If it can be released, it is no joke. The little energy Goku borrowed was like drizzle to a planet. It's not worth mentioning at all. The key is the huge number, or to put it another way, it is easier to understand. Combat power or ki is improved by stacking numbers. The ki of an earth person is considered to be 2 or 3 points of combat power if the energy contained in the billions of earth people can be completely gathered together. That is tens of billions of combat power. These are just people on earth. To the earth itself, they are just a bunch of bacteria on the surface. This shows how terrifying the energy contained in a living planet is. The energy bomb was accidentally integrated into the body during use, which Goku did not expect. He wasn't sure whether this method was an accident or a trace, but at the moment he couldn't ask the King of K to help collect so much vitality in a big way. It is said to be borrowed, but looking at the entire Dragon Ball, Goku has never paid it back. Goku, what are you doing here? Goku came back to his senses and looked up to see Bulma walking in a beautiful casual outfit. He put his hands behind his back and turned around and said, "How is it, huh?" Goku scratched his head. "What? An idiot." Bulma put her hands on her hips and said with her forehead somewhat speechless, "Forget it. I know you don't appreciate it. Let's go shopping with me." "Can I not go?" Goku looked bitter and resisted. "What did you say?" Bulma squinted his eyes, showing a dangerous look. In the end, Goku accepted his fate and went shopping with Bulma, while Gohan was left to play at Dr. Breeve's house. It wasn't until evening that Goku returned to Baozi Mountain with Gohan. "Do you know what to say when you get home?" "Yeah." Gohan nodded, but when Shishi asked him about it while eating, his answer was, "Dad didn't go shopping with Bulma's mother." "Well, Goku, okay, good boy, Goku." Shishi's eyes gradually became dangerous. After that, Goku took time to accompany Shishi to a nearby town for a day. As for Gohan, he was sent to a nearby cram school. The reason why he was not sent to Bulma was because the Brives were too pampered. Bulma was also a genius scientist and would not educate his children in the same way as ordinary people. This kid is cheating. I can let you get over it so easily. Gohan, already honest, a peaceful and comfortable life passed day by day. In order to practice Goku, he consulted with Bulma. Finally, he got the support of his 2 wives and got a few hours of practice time every day. In addition, there is Gohan's daily study time and the time to practice with him. On this day, Bulma returned to Baozi Mountain. "Goku, Shishi, you guys are serious? If it's Gohan, wouldn't it be better for me to teach him how to learn? I'm a genius scientist, and I can definitely teach Gohan well." Bulma touched Gohan's head, the way of pampering. "No." As a result, Shishi refused directly. "Bulma, you will dote on Gohan too much. How can he study hard?" Bulma knew that Shishi couldn't say anything, so he shook his head helplessly and simply looked at Goku. "Goku, do you feel the same way?" Goku, who was sitting astride the chair in a daze, came to his senses and asked, "Huh?" Shishi and Bulma were also stunned for a moment, and then became speechless. "Goku, this is related to Gohan's future. Can you stop?" Goku saw that Shishi was about to go crazy, so he decisively ran away and ran out. "I'll go look for the ingredients for tonight's dinner. I'll be back soon. I also made an appointment with Quick Dragon. Dad, wait for me." Seeing this, Gohan hurriedly followed, fishing in troubled waters. Gohan, seeing both father and son running away, Shishi put his hands on his hips and glared angrily, but there was nothing he could do. Bulma smiled on the side and said with relief, "Actually, it's not bad now. Shishi, although Goku is not very reliable, he is very serious about being a husband and father, isn't he?" "That's what I said, but..." Shishi still frowned. Bulma patted her shoulder and motioned for her to relax. While the two were talking, a figure appeared in front of them like a ghost. "Huh? Isn't it here, Goku?" When the two of them saw the figure that suddenly appeared in front of them, they didn't react for a moment, but then Bulma noticed something unusual. "No, he's not Goku. I saw that the person was almost exactly the same as Goku, but he was a bit more muscular. Not only that, he was also wearing a combat uniform made of special materials from Frieza's Legion, and he also wore the same detector on his face. Judging from the appearance alone, the only difference between him and Goku is probably that his skin color is darker. HMPH, they are the Earth women beside Kakarot, and they also gave birth to a mixed blood kid." At this moment, another figure also fell aside. It was Vegeta, who had disappeared for a long time. Seeing Vegeta appear, Shishi and Bulma realized that something was wrong. After all, Vegeta not only invaded the Earth, but was also a member of Frieza's Legion. After being tricked by Goku, he now hates the Earth very much. Is that so? Looks like a good candidate for bait. When Tails heard this, his eyes gradually became cruel, and he planned to control Bulma and Shishi first, using this as a bargaining chip to make Goku throw her at weapon point. But just as he gradually walked towards the two of them, two figures also flashed over. Bang. You are not allowed to hurt my mother. Goku's expression was relatively calm, but little Gohan immediately exploded when he saw someone being unfavorable to his family. After the Great Elder guided his potential, he never really exploded. On the one hand, Goku didn't want him to activate his potential in advance, which would be too wasteful. From his perspective, Gohan's potential limit is far higher than his, at least 15, or even 20. This means that the longer Gohan accumulates suppression, the stronger the explosion will be. Chapter 97 Son Family Nanny. According to Goku's perception, Tails' combat power is 4 million, which is quite impressive. This has reached the standard of combat power for transforming into a Super Saiyan. But unfortunately, he has been active in the universe all year round, and has even eaten the evil fruit. There should be no way for him to become a Super Saiyan. S cells in the body are a big problem. What surprised Goku was Vegeta. His strength actually increased from 400,000 to 3.5 million. The span is quite large, and it doesn't seem to be as blackened as Tails' nanny, but it was not Goku who was shocked at this moment, but Vegeta and Tails. Gohan kicked Darius away with a flying kick. The force was so amazing that even Darius couldn't react immediately, and he flew away with a distorted expression. Bang bang bang. You are not allowed to hurt my mother. Gohan seemed to be completely irritated, and he burst out with amazing fighting power, fighting fiercely with Tails. Goku has not been idle during this period. He has been guiding Gohan in orthodox martial arts practice, helping him make up for his unstable foundation and wrong fighting habits, such as hesitation and calm judgment. These 2 points are what Gohan has always been lacking. Otherwise, he would not have been completely affected by the warlike factor in the Saiyan bloodline after his power surged, and completely lost his mind. The most obvious thing is probably the battle against Cell, which is exactly the same as Vegeta's wave after his strength increased dramatically. Of course, this is also because Gohan is too young. But at this moment, Gohan's performance was indeed amazing. Normally, Gohan's upper limit of combat power was close to 100,000, but at this moment, the sudden explosion made Tails a little confused and overwhelmed. After just one glance, Goku didn't worry too much. It just allowed Gohan to adapt to the high intensity fighting rhythm. He turned to look at Vegeta and stretched his wrist. I've been a little neglectful recently, and I didn't even notice that you guys have already arrived on Earth. It is also impossible for him to pay attention to whether there is powerful ki coming to the entire Earth at any time, especially Vegeta. After learning to sense ki, he also learned to hide his own ki by analogy. So much so that even Goku didn't notice their arrival on Earth for the first time, etc. Seeing that Goku was about to take action, Vegeta raised his hand with a gloomy face and said, I want to get rid of my immortality. I don't want to start a war with you. Invading the Earth is Tails' plan, and I will not participate. Oh, then how did you get to Earth together? Vegeta's face darkened when he heard this, but he didn't want to explain. It turned out that he also escaped before Namek exploded. Full of resentment and unwillingness, he drifted in the universe for a while, and finally planned to come to Earth to seek revenge on Goku. But after gradually calming down, he realized that it seemed impossible, so he began to consider removing the immortality. As a Saiyan, his strength could never be improved, which was more uncomfortable for him than death. This immortality was simply the most vicious curse. After flying like this for a long time, his spherical spacecraft was too slow and far inferior to the universe spacecraft studied by Dr. Breve and Bulma. He woke up once in the middle and landed on a living planet to supply. As a result, he happened to meet Tails, who was planting spiritual tree fruits there. After accidentally eating a spiritual tree fruit, he found that he was stagnant. The strength has actually been improved. Then he met Tails, who mistook him for Goku, and the two started a fierce fight, which ended up consuming all the fruits of the spirit tree. Although the combat effectiveness of the two men was greatly improved for a short time, their potential was there, and they were eventually beaten back to their original form, regardless of victory or defeat. Finally, Vegeta revealed the existence of the Dragon Balls. reached a temporary cooperation with Tails, and headed to the earth together. So there was this scene in front of me. Seeing that Vegeta didn't answer, Goku didn't hesitate. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he disappeared from the place. The next moment, Goku appeared in front of Tails, and grabbed his hand. Although Gohan's explosion was quite astonishing, he could not fight for a long time. At this time, he was already showing signs of defeat and even suffered a little injury. Dad, Goku glanced at Gohan and said, "Go and protect your mother. A few rats are coming. Get rid of them all. Just leave Vegeta alone." With a nod, Gohan flew to the ground. After careful sensing, he discovered that several of Tails' minions were hiding around, ready to take action. But there is nothing to hide under the sense of ki. Goku didn't attack directly because they were too weak, and it was just right for Gohan to practice. HMPH, you really look like me. Tails did not panic after being caught by Goku. Instead, he sneered, apparently not realizing the problem. Goku's eyes flashed coldly, showing a hint of anger. Bang! In an instant, Tails' detector exploded and smoke erupted. Tails was startled, with some fear in his eyes. Then Goku didn't give him a chance to react, and punched Tails hard in the stomach, causing Tails to vomit blood. His eyes blurred, and his body fell downwards in pain. Even if he doesn't transform, he still has a fighting strength of 23.5 million, and it would be a one-sided massacre without any suspense. As Goku activated his telekinesis ability, Tails was brought back. Goku looked at him and asked, "How much will your strength increase by eating the fruit of the spirit tree?" How could you?" Tails's pupils shrank violently, and then he gritted his teeth and said, "Free. No, as long as you let me eat the fruit of the spirit tree, my combat power will increase at least 5 times. Kakarot, in that case, you will definitely not be my opponent." It's really mindless, but it fits Goku's stereotype of most Saiyans. The next moment, he raised his hand and knocked Tails unconscious. Although there is some suspicion of cheating to increase the combat power, Goku cannot just rely on step-by-step practice to deal with the monsters that appear one after another. Back on the ground, Gohan had already eliminated Tails' men and seized a bag of spiritual tree seeds. "Uncle Piccolo." Gohan looked at Piccolo happily. Only Shishi was not very happy to see him. He still had some grudges about him taking away Gohan. Piccolo was much calmer than before and nodded to Gohan. Goku is not too surprised by this. As long as Gohan encounters a situation, he will definitely appear. This is not a law of cause and effect, but Piccolo is not far from Baozi Mountain, and he is of the same lineage as the gods. The previous generation Piccolo Daimyo has lived for hundreds of years, and his perception and use of ki is probably as good as Goku. A little point not to mention that the Namekians have different terrifying senses from those on Earth. When someone approaches Gohan, he will immediately sense it and will naturally run over to take a look. Sons, Nani is no joke. Goku, how do you plan to deal with them? Piccolo asked, with murderous intent in his eyes. It is impossible for these two unstable factors to stay on the earth. Although he has changed a lot, the cruelty and decisiveness that belong to Piccolo Daimyo have not changed. For example, Gohan was still a little reluctant to deal with the minions brought over by Tails just now, so he helped them get rid of them. Chapter 98, 80 million combat power. Goku gave a few instructions and took Tails and Vegeta to the gate of the demon world. After some searching, Mora got 2 spirit tree fruits from Mora's hand. Mora was a little shocked that Goku knew that he had spirit tree fruits in his hand, but he still took them out as he wanted. Haha, these are the fruits of the spirit tree in Mag's hand. If you need it, sir, I can hand them over. Mora looked a little nervous, although Goku doesn't want to reach out to the demon world on the surface, and he doesn't care what she does on Shura Planet. He seems to be a completely hands-off shopkeeper, but Mora knows exactly what kind of existence Goku is. Her strength was unfathomable, but it wasn't enough to awe her. It was just Goku's sudden calmness and wisdom that caught her off guard. This feeling was the source of her uneasiness. No need, these 2 are enough. Goku got the spirit tree fruit and turned around to leave. However, he stopped halfway, turned his head, and looked sideways at Mora, and suddenly said, "You should know some magic, right? Can you break the immortal body?" Immortality, Mora. hesitated for a moment, then her eyes showed a glint and she licked her lips immediately. Goku left Vegeta here and took Dale's away point. Although he didn't know what method Mirror and Mora used to repair the damaged Shura Star, it was too easy for his power to destroy it. After all, it was the place connected to the gate to the Earth's demon world, and he didn't want to completely destroy it. Taking Darius to a Death Star. The Saiyans can survive in the universe for a short time, but they still need oxygen. Goku looked very calm as he threw the spirit tree fruit to Dales. Dales was stunned for a moment, then showed a ferocious evil smile. After taking a bite of the spirit tree fruit, a terrifying aura erupted, soaring straight up, and soon exceeded the tens of millions level. Ha 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 ha. Stupid guy. It seems that he is just an idiot who looks like me. Kakarot, you don't understand what the spirit tree fruit means. Pay for your stupidity, HMM. Before he finished speaking, Dales' face suddenly changed drastically, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Looking down, he saw that a blue energy had penetrated his chest, and his vitality was gradually draining away. Boo-hoo-hoo. Looking up, I saw golden flames lingering on the surface of Goku's body, emitting bursts of friction and buzzing that tore the air. His green eyes and golden hair showed no emotion at all. 30 million combat power. It seems you are not lying. Thank you. Goku said. The energy in his hand dissipated. Dales also fell to the ground, and his energy quickly fell from the top until it completely dissipated. Ding. Kill Dales, gain energy, and increase your ki by 30 million. Sure. Enough. It can't bring potential value? What a pity. However, the combat power jumped from 23.5 million to 53.5 million, which can be regarded as a huge gain, which is indirectly equivalent to a slight increase in potential value. Goku's purpose of leaving Dales behind was accomplished, and he turned around and left back on Star Shura. Mora didn't know what method she used to actually let Vegeta lose his immortality. This made Goku feel shocked. It was just to test Mora's ability, and he didn't think she had the means. It can counteract the miraculous power of Palunga Point, but now it seems that he still underestimates the other party. What is the origin of Mora? Goku still had a spirit tree fruit in his hand. He tossed it twice, looked at Vegeta and suddenly smiled. How? Do you still want to invade the Earth? Or do you want to use the Dragon Balls to make a wish? Snort. Vegeta lost his immortality and seemed to feel the surging Saiyan blood in his body again. At this time, he looked at the spirit tree fruit in his hand with ardent eyes. Goku also smiled and threw the spirit tree fruit to him. Vegeta didn't eat it immediately, but frowned and suddenly asked, "Where's Dales?" There was no answer, but Vegeta's eyes darkened, and he had already gotten the answer, with a sneer on his face. "I thought you were different from me." Of course it's different. I'm not a universe pirate. I don't go around burning, killing, and looting. That's why I can become a Super Saiyan. Goku looked at Vegeta a little casually, waiting for him to eat the fruit of the spirit tree, and said, "Not a homeless ghost, you." Veins popped up on his forehead. Goku's words undoubtedly hurt Vegeta's heart, but no matter how angry he was, it was useless. He couldn't beat Goku. He is not stupid either. He knows that Goku will give him the spirit tree fruit, so he is not afraid that he will become unstoppable after eating it. My heart is awe-inspiring. Although he was very unwilling, Vegeta still suppressed his anger for his long cherished wish, gritted his teeth and asked, "What is the way to become a Super Saiyan?" "You should know, Kakarot." Goku showed an unexpected expression, then chuckled and said, "Is this the attitude of asking for help? You?" Vegeta choked. For his pride, actively asking Goku how to become a Super Saiyan was undoubtedly very unacceptable, and he didn't even think of asking. But in the past 6 months, he has tried countless methods, trying to replicate Goku's transformation process, and even pushed himself into a desperate situation. But he still couldn't find a way, and he was on the verge of collapse, so he subconsciously chose to ask at this moment. But he regretted it as soon as he asked. Goku didn't want to waste time, so he pointed to the spirit tree fruit in his hand and said, "After you eat it, fight me and I will tell you how to transform. There is no guarantee that you will succeed, but as a price, you can't destroy the Earth. Otherwise I don't need to say what will happen to Dales." Vegeta fell into deep thought after hearing this. He didn't think for too long and ate the fruit of the spirit tree without saying a word. Point click. Ki also began to increase sharply. Although it was not as high as Dale's 30 million, it was still as much as 28 billion. It can only be said that he is worthy of being the prince of the Saiyans. Vegeta has almost never had the opportunity to cultivate S cells in his body, let alone a systematic way of practice. It can be said that his current strength is entirely obtained by stimulating his potential. If Goku hadn't cheated, he would probably be about the same strength as him now. Of course, this does not include the prerequisite for Super Saiyan transformation. Swish. Bang. Vegeta. The result was no suspense. Goku didn't even need to transform into a Super Saiyan to knock Vegeta down with one punch. Ding. Defeat Vegeta, gain energy, and increase combat power by 28 million. The combat effectiveness increased again, directly reaching 81.5 million. The 100 million mark was not far away. Goku was in a good mood and did not break his promise. He told Vegeta several conditions for becoming a Super Saiyan. As for whether he could successfully transform, it depends on his own destiny. To be honest, based on his understanding of Vegeta, without Bulma's existence, it would be difficult to hope to calm down within 3 years. As a result, he couldn't even achieve the first basic condition for becoming a Super Saiyan, which is to have enough S cells in his body. But he didn't bother to care what happened to Vegeta and left the Demon Realm Gate directly. Chapter 99 Karikai. After Goku left, Vegeta gradually stood up. His will was extremely strong. His face was uncertain, and he kept thinking about the several conditions Goku said. In fact, he has met the most basic combat power. Even if the improvement brought by the spirit tree fruit is short-lived, his basic combat power has reached 3.5 million, enough to transform into a Super Saiyan. So all he lacks is the S cells in his body and extreme anger. The latter condition is also easy for him. He can just think about Frieza. But it is simply impossible to make him calm down and wait slowly. That Kakarot guy. Vegeta even suspected that Goku was lying to him, but he had no evidence to prove it, so he looked very confused for a while. Despair. The sound of footsteps reached his ears. Vegeta's face darkened, and he turned to look. I didn't expect Saiyans to have such characteristics. They are such a strange race. Mora had a smile in her eyes, looked at Vegeta and said, I can help you meet the conditions for transformation, but as a condition, I need some Super Saiyan data. How about it? What? Vegeta was startled at first, then narrowed his eyes, revealed a ferocious smile, and said very cheerfully, it's a fair deal. How can I cooperate? Oh, Earth, Baozi Mountain. When Goku came back, he found that Krillin and others had also sensed the powerful energy and rushed here. After some exchanges, they found that the crisis had been resolved, and everyone left here. Goodbye. Then, Goku, watching the others leave, Goku fell into deep thought. He suddenly felt as if something was missing. Until a moment later, Bulma came over and said, really, Goku, what are you doing here? She asked you to go back to eat. Yeah, back home. During mealtime, Goku suddenly had a sudden impulse and said to Bulma, Bulma, you must have collected Dragon Balls, right? Why? Bulma, who was eating, put down his chopsticks, thought for a moment and said, I want to look for it, but the Dragon Bead should still be stone now, right? They used them once when they revived Chai and Jin Rice last time. I really miss it when I say it. How about we collect Dragon Balls next time we travel? That's a good idea, right? What do you think, Goku? Surprisingly, she actually agreed. Goku naturally had no objection. Then Bulma looked at him curiously and asked, Goku, do you have any wishes you want to realize? Suddenly you said you want to find Dragon Balls or something. Really? Now? It was Bulma and Shishi's turn to be curious, and they looked at each other. Normally, Goku would never want to make a wish, but today he was acting very strangely. But they didn't think much about it. After waiting for another 2 months, the Dragon Ball gradually revived, and the Goku family embarked on a journey to find the Dragon Ball. On Bulma's plane, a family of 3 embarked on a journey to find the Dragon Ball. Gohan is probably very unhappy right now. It doesn't matter. I asked Kuo along to accompany him to the cram school. There will be nothing. Goku suddenly paused as he spoke, then nodded. There will be no problem. Goku, did you notice something just now? No, the first Dragon Ball is approaching. At the same time, Gohan, who was studying in a cram school in a city near Baozi Mountain, was bored with a pen in his mouth and staring blankly at the bird on the branch outside the window. So, let's take a look at this question. The tutor's voice on the podium sounded like a lullaby. The sun is shining brightly, and the temperature is so hot that only cicadas seem to be able to stay alive and keep chirping. Woo. On the canopy of the tree, a dinosaur fell down, tilting its head and looking at him doubtfully. The sudden scene frightened Gohan, who was distracted. Quick dragon. Huh. The teacher frowned. Classmate Sun Wuhan, what are you talking about? Where did I just talk? Speaking of, Gohan stood up in a hurry, but at this time, his attention was completely on the fast dragon outside the window, so he could not think about class. But then, Gohan suddenly felt something. His eyes narrowed, and he raised his hand directly and said, "Teacher, I want to go to the toilet. It's very urgent." Huh. Seeing that he didn't seem to be pretending, the teacher sighed. "Go ahead and make sure you don't do it again. Thank you, teacher." Okay, let's move on to the next knowledge point. Gohan hurriedly ran out, followed by the fast dragon, and flew away directly, heading straight to the Kame Senaya point. At the same time, Kame Sento, who was taking a nap on the beach, was holding a Dragon Ball in his hand point, although it was unintentional. The last time the Dragon Ball scattered, after making a wish, one happened to fall into the nearby sea, and he fished it out easily. At this time, Goku and others successfully found the first Dragon Ball and prepared to go to a nearby town to rest point. They were just going on a trip to look for Dragon Balls, so naturally they wouldn't be in a hurry. Boom. But when the three of them were enjoying the local specialties and experiencing the local customs in the town, an explosion suddenly occurred outside the town. This was not over yet, and then the whole town began to fall into riots. All people become aggressive and attack others around them indiscriminately. Once attacked, they will immediately transform into the same bloodthirsty monster like a zombie. What's going on? Bulma was carried by Goku and flew into the air. He looked at the town below in surprise as it fell into riots. There is a trouble coming out of the devil world. It seems that I can't travel well. Where is Gohan? Is he in any danger? No, I have to go back and take a look. She said, and wanted to go back to Baozi Mountain to take a look, but was stopped by Goku. It's okay. Gohan is safe. Piccolo is already protecting him. Let's go to the western capital first. Then, the three of them headed to the western capital. These zombie-like low-level demons posed no threat. The Brives were probably the most dangerous ones. They were just ordinary people. Not to mention Earth warriors. Even those martial arts masters with some strength can easily escape. Almost at the same time, all places with living people on the earth were attacked at almost the same time. Gohan and Piccolo were attacked immediately after they reunited. The culprit of this incident appeared, the demon, Cherish II, whose father once failed to compete with the gods for the position of god, and was beaten back to the demon world. Now that he has come back from killing him, he has directly controlled the god. Gohan and Piccolo were shocked to see the god being controlled by Cherish II with something like a crystal ball. HMPH, Piccolo and Sun Wuhan, I know you. Now the god of heaven is in my hands. If you don't want him to die, just do as I say and help me collect the Dragon Balls. I will wait for you at the Celestial Temple. Wait. Gohan rushed forward to save the god, but was stopped by Cherish II's men. Piccolo took action and defeated one of them. Seeing this, the others did not dare to continue to struggle with Piccolo and hurriedly retreated. Uncle Piccolo, what should I do? Gohan was still too immature and was already panicking. He subconsciously asked Piccolo for a solution. Piccolo thought for a moment and snorted. Even I already had a premonition of this kind of thing, so there was no reason why that guy didn't know about it. But at this time, Gohan was left alone, obviously because he wanted Gohan to solve the problem on his own and to give Gohan a bit of experience. Chapter 100 Gohan's Outbreak. It can only be said that Piccolo is indeed Piccolo, and he has almost guessed Goku's thoughts. Cherish II has some strength, but it is also limited. It is at the same level as Piccolo. With no more than 2 million combat power, the Saiyan blood in Gohan's body is still not fully awakened, so his strength fluctuates. This is because he has never become a warrior from his heart point. In short, there are too few actual battles. Goku wanted to train him slowly, but she even kept a close eye on his daily training, so Goku had to keep his hands open, even if he wanted to fight directly point, and he really can't handle his own son too hard. Same with Piccolo. It was fine before, but now Piccolo sees that Gohan is in danger even faster than Goku, his biological father, so there is no other way. Although it is a bit dangerous, Carelessness is actually a very suitable trial villain for Gohan today, and can bring out his potential. After Piccolo guessed Goku's thoughts, he did not directly ask Gohan to find Goku to achieve speedrunning point. In fact, they couldn't find it. At this time, Goku had hidden his key to the point where he couldn't sense it, so it was difficult for them to find it. Hey, Piccolo, Gohan, what's going on? Krillin came over and looked around, his eyes very solemn. Has a new enemy appeared? Teacher Wushan was also attacked by these guys. Their goal should be Dragon Ball. Piccolo nodded, and then Gohan explained what just happened. Krillin frowned and said subconsciously, if Wu, ahem. Piccolo coughed, knowing that this was for Gohan's good. Of course, he couldn't let Goku come over, and he had to do a full show point immediately. Piccolo immediately made a plan. Gohan, let's go to the Celestial Temple. Then I will deal with Carelessness. Just you and Krillin stop his men. We will find a chance to rescue the Celestial God and the crisis will be over. Yeah. Although Gohan is not an outstanding fighter, he is very obedient. But, Krillin vaguely felt something was wrong, but after Piccolo took a look at it, he immediately felt that Alexander could only follow this plan point in this way. The three of them formed a team and headed towards the Temple of Heaven point at the same time. The Bulma family in the western capital, Meow, Xiaomi, don't run around, woof, Mrs. Brave small animals had become restless because of the large scope of the disaster and ran everywhere. Goku grabbed a tabby cat and started petting it. Dr. Breve is also petting the cat. At this time, Shishi and Bulma walked in. The former still looked worried. Goku, is Gohan really going to be okay? No problem. Piccolo is following him. After saying that, he saw that Shishi still looked very worried. He sighed, stood up and said, I'll go take a look, but don't run around. Don't come out until the matter is over. You know, don't worry. Bulma smiled and said confidently, it's very safe here, but it's a pity that it's a rare trip and it was destroyed. As he spoke, he looked depressed again. There was no way. She had been looking forward to this trip for a long time, but it ended just as it started. Goku smiled and then took away the Dragon Balls that the others found, just in case. In the Celestial Temple, Carelessness has completely controlled Bobo and the Celestial God. After Gohan and Piccolo arrived, they fought with Carelessness as expected, and Krillin took the opportunity to sneak in and release the God and Bobo. Thank you. I need to send the super divine water to the lowest level of the Temple of Heaven and let it spread to the earth along the wind cave below. Otherwise it will be bad. Please, God, I'll leave it to you here. The God of Heaven solemnly told him, then turned around and followed Popo towards the depths of the God's Temple. Let's go, Mr. Popo. Yes, God, the Mist of Archive released by Carelessness can transform humans into demons, which is extremely terrifying, and can only be purified with super divine water, and once the sun goes down, the transformed demons cannot return to their original state, which is why the gods are so eager. While the two were heading to the depths of the Celestial Temple, the duel between Piccolo, Gohan, and Carelessness had reached a fever pitch. Even if Piccolo didn't use all his strength, he could still suppress Carelessness steadily. It's not like he didn't do anything during this period. Back on Namek, he and Neru already had a combat power of 1.5 million after fusion. As the most outstanding combat type Namekian, Neru has improved Piccolo in all aspects, especially in combat. Even his potential has been greatly improved. It may be a little short of being called a Super Namek. After all, he is just the incarnation of the dark side and is in complete point, but he has been practicing silently for the past 6 months, and with the appearance of Dales and others, he felt the crisis, and his strength further increased to more than 2 million. Carelessness second was not his opponent at all, but Piccolo also wanted to train Gohan in this way, so he was not in a hurry to decide the winner. Bang. Bang bang bang, boom. After Krillin came out, he faced 2 of Carelessness' men, relieving Gohan's pressure point. Gohan still has some strength to spare, but Krillin's performance is somewhat unsatisfactory except for the 2 elite warriors from the evil star under Carelessness second who have tens of thousands of fighting strength. The remaining 4 are just minions with a fighting strength of no more than 10,000. But at this moment, Krillin was actually struggling to deal with the 2 minions, which was really unsightly. Goku stood high in the air hiding his energy and observing the battlefield. Piccolo had actually discovered him, but he didn't make any announcement. Krillin is lazy. Goku shook his head secretly when he saw Krillin's performance. As long as there is no sense of crisis, this situation is inevitable. Compared with the Namek period, Krillin's combat effectiveness has not increased but decreased, directly dropping to less than 10,000. Not only that, even his combat intuition and reactions have become much slower. After being developed by the Great Elder, his combat power once reached 14,000. On the other hand, Gohan is quite satisfactory. After Goku's teachings, his strength has improved steadily. Even if he doesn't explode, his potential can reach more than 100,000. The only thing he lacks is enough experience, so Goku will take the trouble to promote this crisis. As long as Gohan is fully awakened, he can kill Carelessness second with one blow. Bang. Bang bang bang. Goku took a look at the situation and found that Piccolo was still in control of the situation, and the pressure didn't seem to be enough. But at this moment, electric sparks suddenly appeared in Piccolo's body and then turned into a translucent state, and his energy plummeted. Carelessness second seized the opportunity and ravaged him. Uncle Piccolo. Ah. Gohan exploded upon seeing this, his terrifying arrogance soaring into the sky, and he eliminated the only 2 minions of Carelessness second with just one blow. The remaining elite warriors were also severely injured by him while moving, and were taken away with a magic flash. Goku's eyes lit up. Gohan's talent was not only reflected in his fighting power. What he taught was different from Piccolo's, but they both included all the element of fighting. Reactions, timing, technique. It's very comprehensive. Gohan has already learned it completely. The only thing missing is to fully integrate these skills into his fighting instincts. Carelessness second was startled. In this moment of confusion, Gohan had already rushed over. Let Uncle Piccolo go. Yee. With Carelessness' transformed form and a combat power of millions, he was defeated steadily by Gohan's random attacks. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.